Yeah, West, South Africa, all the way to West, South Africa to North Africa. You don't forget about Lake Megachad. Don't forget about Lake Megachad. See, let's see if we start dealing with geography, then shit get a little different. You got these 3 mega lakes. It's in the Sahara. You know that, right? There's hook in South Africa up with the rivers that go on lake to lake. That's already been confirmed.
Yeah,
they got these fish.
The scientific study that I've seen speak about when you talk about small groups up until, you talk about small groups of people, no more than a few dozen people. This is going on for thousands of years. And all the scientific studies I've seen say that these people very rarely, they may have lived their whole life without even coming in contact with people out of a certain range. See what I'm saying?
How did Homo sapiens get to South Africa, yo? North Africa. You know it's a culmination of other ancient groups, human populations that culminate into Homo sapiens sapiens.
Yeah, but these tribes.
I'm gonna bring it. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna bring it. So the other humans, archaic humans, was mixing right all the way from south to north, but the Homo sapiens sapiens, who are far more intelligent, wasn't. I don't know, dog.
Not necessarily mixing. You may find some. I'm just
trading.
talking about individual events, but like you talking about like tribal groups was not that friendly like that. Outside of maybe a small clan, that like a clan would be a group that was already a group, just like how with monkeys, when they reach a certain point, they break off and form another group because the community becomes unstable. So in a particular area, you will find a particular clan that may have been a part of another group that break off. But now, as far as that clan actually traveling, traversing other areas, like going 500,000 miles, and like I've never read anything scientifically recently that make that claim.
What claim? What's the claim?
That these Homo sapiens prior to the Neolithic age are engaging in trades over extreme large distances, anything like that.
All right. So how far did Homo erectus walk?
I don't know how far Homo erectus walked.
Walked around the world, yo. Come on, yo. Why do these Homo sapiens just stay stuck when Homo erectus walk around the world? The oldest bones in North America is a Homo erectus. It ain't even a Homo sapien.
How long was it? Remember the time period when the Ice Age pushed the Africans back into a very small pocket? I think the population dwindled down to about 10,000. You remember what time period, right? Remember that time period when you can see where they had evidence of all the Homo sapiens pretty much back, and it almost went extinct. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, and from that point they started pushing back out of Africa. So at that time period, the population is extremely small. So yeah, they're migrating outwards and to the east and to the west and to the south, but I don't think I haven't seen it. All I would say is I haven't seen any evidence.
Oh, so you know that Homo erectus, archaic humans, was in North America at 100,000 years. You know that, right?
Yeah, but I get that, but that don't mean that don't mean that one. That don't mean that they're trading, bro. Like you talk about thousands of years of people migrate, just like the Native Americans migrated to over thousands of years. But those Native Americans,
I want to ask a question.
But those Native Americans ain't going back over Beringia and trading back.
I never said they was trading in Homo erectus, yo. I didn't say that. I said that the fact that Homo erectus, right, walked from Africa all the way up into Europe, all the way to North America is a longer distance than going down to South Africa and going down to West Africa. Like they walk, yo. They built for walking. That's all I was saying, dog. That don't mean you get my point, though, right?
Yeah, but thousands of years. It took them thousands of years to get there.
Okay, so why didn't it take them niggas hundreds of years to get? So if it take them hundreds of thousands of years to get there, right? They got there walking. We know Homo sapiens is made to walk. That's what they do. They walk. They walk. They walkers. So I'm saying once I realized that Musa walked all the way to Mecca. Who am I to say, right? Who am I to say that it's not possible for other niggas in West Africa to walk up there? Like that's like I can't say it. Maybe y'all can look yourself in the mirror and say it with a straight face. Now we might hold on, let me make my point. Now we might not have the evidence that we're looking for right now, but that's cool. I'm not saying that, but we do know that Musa walked. We do know this for sure. And he walked to Egypt. He did all that. So if that nigga can walk to Egypt, so y'all saying that the Arabs told him about Egypt? Just say, I want to hear you say it. Just say it. That the Arabs knew more about Africa than they did.
We know in the 1300 the trade route. That's why I was like comparing the 1300s to even to 3000 BC. That's a totally different shift. Like we know, maybe 250 to 300,000 years, right? We know when they got in Australia.
Wait a minute.
Like 50, 70,000 years.
Whoa. I'm trying to listen, yo. Watch this. We had 160,000 years ago, yo. They walked from South Africa all the way up to the Nile Valley. Did they not?
In 160,000 years?
Yeah. 90,000 because we can follow the cave systems all the way up. And then we know there's Lake Megachad and other lakes, giant lakes. The topography is totally different today. There were lakes and rivers connected to the lakes. Yeah. All the river systems, we know all this. So I'm not the one to say great empires. I'm not saying it. I'm just saying that don't be surprised. Just don't be surprised that you had niggas traveling to the Nile before it was even Egypt and traveling to the Nile after it was Egypt because the Romans did it. I was talking to Chef, the Romans was all the way in Lake Chad. Why is the white boys able to keep doing it? I'm gonna tell you why they're able to keep doing it. Because we don't put our money where our mouth is. That's why. African nations ain't spending that bread to do the archaeology in their area. That's why. So I'm gonna hold my judgment until further more information. I'm just not the dumb guy.
Okay.
Trust me, I'm not the dumb guy. I'm not gonna overshoot what the evidence shows me. I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah, I'm just staying with the evidence.
I'm gonna say, can I interject? Like when we say humans migrated all the way up, right? From South Africa over a period in time, 160,000 years, humans move. But I'm thinking like this, we move from point A to point B. Then the next group left from point B to point C. The next group left from point C to point D. So the original people that left from point A didn't walk all the way to point Z. It was in stages. So you can almost say that every group of people moved almost the same amount of space. It wasn't the original group that moved all the way up. That's my first point. And my second point is at the point that we're talking about Egyptians, and I'm bringing it back to Asar's point, because I believe that we could have been trading back and forth. Yeah, you move from out of Egypt, you reach a certain point, and then the people from the West move up to a certain point. They meet at certain distinct areas where trade happens, and each person goes back to their own civilization. But at the point that we're talking about Egypt, to say or make the claim, and I'm trying to figure out if this is what Asar said, that's my only question, that we West Africans, we in the Caribbean, we in the Americas, descendants of the slave trade, are direct descendants of Egyptians. Now, based on my understanding of genetics, that's a big question mark. And I would like for Asar to break down how he came, his methodology, how he came to that conclusion. Because for as far as I'm understanding, we're distinct people at this point in time because of migration and because of how we moved out of Southern Africa over the course of 200,000 plus years. That's my point. I'm trying to figure that out because that
yeah, but I can't fight him on his research. That's his research. I'm not making that claim.
Okay.
Not me. Like, so are y'all familiar with the Nubian trade to India?
Yeah.
The elephant trade.
Yeah.
How far is that? It's a long fucking way, ain't it? Think about that. Let's look at the map. So if y'all familiar with the elephant trade, all the way down.
Nobody is
Nubian.
arguing trade though, yo.
But that's my conversation. I can only have my conversations.
Right.
I cannot have a soft
listen,
conversation.
Listen.
Like you cannot make me argue soft.
We ain't trying to make you argue somebody else's point. You keep interjecting your argument over top of
I'm trying
that
to show
argument.
Y'all.
And it gives credence to something that's
no, it
flimsy.
doesn't. I'm saying is we're not gonna sit on here, yo, and act like if Musa walked all the way to fucking Egypt, the other niggas didn't. We ain't, and I ain't talking about in stages. The nigga walked. How long did it take him? 2 years, 3 years, 30,000, 40,000 people, yo. He did that.
You talk about the Ghanaian Empire. You can't compare Ghanaian.
No. Listen. We talked about a human taking 40,000 slaves plus army and everybody else from West Africa to Egypt to Mecca. So are you saying, hold on, are you saying it has to be a great empire to do that?
What I'm saying is that, hell yeah.
How about this though? Hold on, how about this? Cut the people down to a quarter of the people. Does it still happen? There's a possibility. The research question is, all right, well, see, you gotta have military in mind.
What is a quarter of 40,000? What's a quarter of 40,000?
10,000.
10,000. You gonna move 10,000 people across the Sahara all the way to Mecca, and you not a goddamn superpower at that time?
Yeah, he moving with an army. Like you ain't gonna find people that army 3,000-4,000 BC trap. You talk about, man, come on.
You forgot to study Roman.
The Hajj to Mecca though. He wasn't the first person. I mean, I know he brought up Musa, but there was other people to make the Hajj before Musa. Musa wasn't the first Malian king to make the Hajj. So to see,
we use what?
No, we was talking about the mass of people that he brought.
Right.
So it was so notable that is. Go ahead, Sean.
No, I was just only saying because other people have made that same Hajj. So if people made that before him, yeah, his is more notable and he had more people because he was trying to bring gold with him. So his only intent was to bring his gold with him so that he can do what he did and make that political statement in Egypt. If he wasn't trying to make a political statement, I don't see him taking that many people, all them people around him. But the fact that he did. Now, people are under the assumption that he actually went straight through the Sahara. No, he went north. And then as he went like at an angle north, and then he come through North Africa, when he getting up in that mountainous range, he had to leave half his people. So he had to leave half his people. And, if they got camels and whatever the hell they got with them, a lot of that couldn't go around those mountainous curves. So everybody that came with him could only come through with so much of what he was trying to bring through, and the rest of them people didn't come. You had some people fall off. You had some people not weather the storms. And I'm just giving the context of Musa's travel. Mm-hmm. So when he do get to Kemet, he in Kemet with less than what he started with, but he got the damn gold. You know what I'm saying? He had enough people with him to bring his menthols of gold to throw it around like it wasn't nothing. Him and his people like they was at a strip club just throwing up wands. But to argue the point, I'm gonna go back to the inception of West Africa. I'm gonna go back 10,000 years. Because the argument has been made by one person on Oxpers that 10,000 years ago, West Africans was in West Africa. West Africa, if you look at a map of West Africa 10,000 years ago was not fully inhabited. It was pockets. And it goes back to small pieces of people being in certain places. So you had small, like the evidence say you look at the Journal of Nature, the evidence say they got, you know, those 2 children that was found, or well, not 2 children, let's just call them boys. It was 2 boys that was found in West Africa. I forget the exact location. And then you had another little pocket of people near Cameroon. And then you had another little people some thousands of years before that in another little area in near Nigeria. So you don't have dense people being found all along all the countries that we know of today as West Africa, because we're talking about millions of square miles. And we know that the excavations haven't been done in its totality as it has been done in Kemet. So the premise is shaky based on how we're arguing this with limited data. And because we're trying to go ahead.
Let's say, and you know, prior to the Neolithic, right? Like I spent a lot of time studying that particular time period up until that point. You're not going to see that the reason you see pockets that dense, because the more people you have to be able to feed them. So if you're talking about 2,000 people, those ain't hunter-gatherers no more. You understand? You don't get that type of large population base until you get farming. So, and this is where you start to see that type of activity pick up. You know what I'm saying? But even when farming comes, it's not like everybody starts farming. It pops up in different places. Boop. The Middle East, Africa. It's not gonna be like that, because if you understand tribes, right? You have something that's called the Dunbar 150. The Dunbar 150 is a theory that basically says that tribes break up once they reach a breaking point, 150, 200, 150 between 250. That's when tribes break up. Well, monkeys are smaller. So you're not going to see 15, 200,000 hunter-gatherers foraging like that. They're going to break up into small groups.
Because
right? So that's why the evidence. Huh?
Okay.
They foragers.
Wait,
Go ahead,
whoa. You got Jabal Tepe, they not farmers. They building large temples. You got Neolithic people in Nubia, they not farmers. They got giant underground storage bins for grain. They got enough of natural growing grains and fruits and vegetables to sustain them. So farming ain't that. Like there's a shift. Like it used to be, farming was the greatest thing of all time. That's not the truth. You got grinding stones in the Nile.
So you disagreeing with his point,
I'm not saying that.
I'm disagreeing that farming allows for sustain large populations.
What was Gobekli Tepe is like about what, 8 to 9,000?
10,000.
Right.
I don't think they was farmers though. They realized they wasn't farmers.
No, they weren't farming, and that's why Gobekli Tepe is such a damn anomaly.
Okay, because, so I mean, that's an outlier.
And the reason it stands out is for that simple fact.
Okay, got you. So we ain't gonna play with the outliers. We don't do that around here. We read the studies for real. We don't do that. See, there you go. No, we don't do that. So, but we are going to talk about the Nubians and how they were semi-nomadic. Right?
What time of period? So we could be on the same.
6,000. Yeah, 6,000 BC. Yeah. They way more technical than their counterparts in the Nile. That's where Chief X make his mistakes at. And so literally, right? The bull cult, okay, that comes from Nubia. Alignment of things to heavenly bodies that come from Nubia. What else? Just storing shit, putting together storage and grains and shit like that. They was doing that before because they never could farm, and they was semi-nomadic, meaning they would move in different areas, different pockets, settle, right, and go to their summer home. No more than some rich people do right now. Now you saying, wait a minute, that ain't thousands of niggas moving, but you know what I mean? I don't got a number on how many people was actually moving. Hold on, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click on here, yo. I'm gonna click out here and click
what they heard us?
Yeah, they was herders, yeah. Just like the cowboys in the Wild Wild West. They was herders, nigga. I'm gonna leave here. Let me in, Chef. Let me in, Chef.
All right. It's a good conversation. It's definitely a good conversation. Definitely a much needed conversation. Go ahead, Sean.
I think the issue lies with the fact that we just don't have enough evidence in West Africa to show. Like, if you look at West Africa today, it's is overpopulated in areas that are near the waters, but the population decreases as you go toward the forest areas because there's really no need for that nowadays as it was back then. But when they excavate more, and they have plans on excavating more, we're going to have more questions answered. They only dug what they dug because they found a hominid there. They found evidence, for a hominid in that area that allowed them to say, okay, we need to pay attention over here, and it changed the landscape a little bit. But it still just proved how our eldest ancestors, like the Novan and all of them, how they moved, how Neanderthals even moved, right? Because like when we're dealing with the archaic ghost gene, well, when you talk West Africa, you have to talk about the ghost gene. Everybody familiar with that, right?
Mm-hmm. A-double-O.
Yeah, A-double-zero.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you get A-double-zero got to go somewhere. He ain't just being, he or she is not just being in these particular areas. That's going to be like the oldest over there. So what other hominids have we found in West Africa that can show the evolution? Like when we go to South Africa, we got all of them different bone structures, and we seeing where humanity is actually flowing. Because from South Africa going into the east and then spreading to the west is when you start getting the Homo sapiens sapien making their routes. But then we got this archaic human over here in West Africa and Northwest Africa that's making its round down toward the south and the east and north and the northern part of Africa. But these migrations, we're trying to make them concurrent when they're happening at different times of evolution.
Over thousands of years.
Correct. Oh yeah, a shitload of thousands of years, which we can't really fathom. But my little 2 cents into this is that the data that we have right now is based on the oral traditions of people in the West and some of the trading influences that we have coming from the Northeast or upper and lower Kemet in certain areas. However, some of that is argumentative, but we can't use, and I'm gonna eliminate this right now. So I know you listening. I'm gonna eliminate it right now. You want to argue that point, I'm gonna bust your ass. But I'm not fully against some parts of your argument. See, on this topic, I'm arguing with both sides because I'm trying to stay in the middle. I'm trying to argue with both sides. So when Asar brings up cowrie shells, I'm gonna bust his ass.
Okay.
He can't use that because that's one of the arguments. Is cowrie shells end up in West Africa. Now, those cowrie shells we know come later. They come via the Indian Ocean. Who brings them from the Indian Ocean and that Red Sea area over there? The freaking Arabs. We know because of the type of cowrie shell that they're trading for in currency. So we can't use that. We have the archaeological evidence and survey regarding these cowrie shells, so that eliminates it. I don't know if you've seen that data.
Yeah, okay. That's a point right there, Sean. You just made a point. So you're saying that the cowrie shells, for the audience, he's saying that the cowrie shells is not coming from East Africans moving west into the Niger region, right? He's saying that they were transported to West Africans from the Indian Ocean by a Arab trade route. That's what he's saying. So the people of East Africa didn't migrate over to West Africa and bring cowrie shells with them. That's what he's saying. So go ahead, Sean.
Yeah, so that's just the archaeological evidence that we have regarding that. Now, there is some other evidence that supports trade that was indigenous in ancient Kemet and brought to specific areas of West Africa, which shows correlation. So before cowrie shells, you got different type of beads, different type of colors and things of that nature that transpire. And that's evidence of trade and an argument that seals that. But I know one of SARS was about cowrie shells, so I wanted to eliminate that real quick. Now, on the flip side, let's go back 8,000 years and just deal within 10 to 8,000 years. Who are they trading with? Because there's not a lot of people in West Africa. There's small pockets of people in certain areas, but there's no real civilization or something sprouting up. But you might see in one area they excavate and find, in another area they excavate and find, in another area they excavate and find. We just don't have all the evidence. So I think if we're relying solely, if the argument is solely made on the oral traditions, which is one of the issues, if the argument is solely based on oral traditions and not the rest of the genetic mapping or the excavations of data, then Asar will win the points because he'll have more evidence to argue for the migrational patterns because of how humans behaved and acted, because they did move around. Regardless of what we want to think, these people, like Unc was trying to say, they moved. They moved, man. They wasn't sitting still. They were moving. They were moving due to weather, they were moving because of animals. They were moving because of other tribal people. They just moved. So we have to respect the fact that people was on the go and they could go, they can walk. Think about it. When you see one of our African brothers and sisters today, and we see them on TV and they running, man, they can run a dang 1,500. You know what I'm saying? Like non-stop, like it ain't no thing. So these people can get up and go. They can go. And once upon a time, you had people 40, 50 years ago that was walking 30 or 40 miles. They might have, and their feet was used.
It's a study on how Africans developed the ability to travel great distances, because when Asia and Europe was domesticating the horse, we didn't have it. So, we mainly walk, you know what I mean? So we definitely mastered that. And so that's a good point. They was walking, they was moving.
Mm-hmm. So what we can prove is the essence of some people being in West Homo sapiens sapiens 8 to 10,000 years ago. We have evidence for that. We just don't have a lot of evidence. So we're shorthanded on arguing from the evidence side of people being there, but we can say people was there.
But that we just can't say ancient Egyptians though.
Yeah, but
right. So my point is, it got to tie into that. It got to.
Yeah. So here it goes. We know that people was migrating, but are we talking about people that came from Central and South, that came west and then went east, northeast? Or are we talking about these small little pockets of people going toward that direction? For what reason? They're near the Niger River. They got shade. They got trees. They're able to manufacture food, fishing, farm. I mean, not necessarily farm, but feed themselves in certain areas. Something would have to have pushed them in that direction again. You see what I'm saying? But they could go that direction if somebody else was coming into the area and they were unfamiliar, and then some type of beef had brewed out from someone from the Central or the South. So I'm saying, my argument is that everybody was moving pretty much in a circular motion on the continent, where they needed to move based on climate, based on tribal affiliation, based on resources. That's the argument. But if we go into oral history, and if we go into certain archaeological evidence, then it begins to get muddy.
Quick point. Have y'all noticed like a running theme here? When it comes to anything in Africa, it's always built by some outside force. You know, it starts to become weird. Like we're almost not allotted the same accessibilities as other Homo sapiens. It's like it's a theme. It's a running theme. Zimbabwe, those Great Walls, they wasn't built by Africans. Y'all, do you remember that? Am I correct? They argued niggas down that the Great Walls and what I say? What was it called? Zimbabwe? But do I got the name right?
Yeah.
They wasn't built by black people, dog. They
Solomon,
argued that.
they said it was built by King Solomon.
Dude, okay. The pyramids, they was built by the Hebrews. They wasn't built by them. Then after they got ran off that point, Egypt itself is an Asiatic, Indo-European, and black people was there, but they were slaves. Like we're acting like that's not been the running theme. When people like Chancellor Williams, Dr. Benham came on the scene. See, and so dealing with Chief X is kind of wild because he don't read. He don't know why they was making those particular arguments. Now, by the time we come to UNESCO say, well, they were neither black nor white. They were Africans with different variations in skin color, but Egypt is a homegrown indigenous culture. That's what the scientific consensus was on Egypt. Now, fast forward, now they come up with DNA evidence, right? We read it. It's in the Journal of Science. You read the whole thing and they making a good case, yeah. And then they start letting you know, well, really it's up in the Delta with these, I think it's 33 mummies in the Delta. And they had about maybe 6% sub-Saharan DNA in it. They said that in the Delta, right? And they said, but these studies are not indicative of the ancient population, and they leave you hanging. And we all act like we didn't read that. They said this DNA study is not indicative, you know what I'm saying, with the ancient population. Because we don't know, we don't got nothing down there. Down south. Like, that's the information. That's what it says. And people acting like I'm making it up, you know, dudes arguing on Facebook following Chief X, like I'm making it up. Like, dude, I'm not making this up. Like he's standing up there with his chest stuck out like he got all the pieces when the scientific article say, no, we don't got all the pieces. No, we don't know. Like UNESCO clearly says it's a home. So now it's a homegrown indigenous culture, but the motherfuckers in Africa didn't participate in that homegrown. Like, you know what? I'm a chill. I'm gonna chill because I can't get it here, yo. Like I just can't, dog. Like where did the niggas go?
Effects is crazy.
Yeah, he on and them drugs.
Yeah,
drugs.
Is the Berbers African?
I'm hearing Ankh right now, and I'm going, huh? He said what? No, but how? That don't make no sense. The Egyptians said that they come from the south. The south is Africa. If the Egyptians said that, I learned this from the squad, okay? I'm repeating what I learned from the squad. The Egyptians said themselves, the Ramesh said themselves, they came from the south. The south could only be further in Africa.
Yeah, the Berbers are African. The Berbers are African.
So North Africans are just as much African as any other African.
Yeah, how long you gotta live there? If you're there for 20, 30, 40, 50,000 years, dog, like, God damn, how long you gotta be somewhere, yo?
Right. So is the Berber culture African?
Yes.
The Amazigh is an African culture, right?
Dude, I just watched the whole
amalgamation. It's an amalgamation of it's an amalgamation of things with them Berbers, but we get
but before the Arabs, before the
Oh yeah, because they were
before
just
700.
Yeah. I mean, I ain't gonna deny. I ain't gonna.
Yeah, I ain't gonna deny that.
And before the Romans got there, the Romans had contact with the Amazigh, and they had an indigenous culture, right?
Did you watch the video
What video?
where the niggas is still taking people across the sand?
No, I'm not talking. I'm talking about
the guys you talking about. I looked at them. I was like, well, damn.
Taxi cab.
No. I'm saying I'm looking at them, right? And I'm saying I don't know what their DNA markup is, right? But they have been in Africa so long that they're actually taking on certain, I don't know. What's up, Garfield?
Hey,
peace and love.
Hold on, Garfield, before you go. Ujawa, I know you're on the panel. You sent us a document 3-4 years ago when we outlined this argument about like how people view race in ancient Kemet. Then there was another one that we got that was from Joe as well. Well, never mind. I think I found it. Go ahead.
Yeah, before we get way off target. Go ahead.
I want to see what the records say where the Egyptians themselves say they come from, and then watch everybody say no, they ain't mean that, because that's what the daggone Aryan model say. Oh, the Greeks didn't know what they was talking about. The Greeks say, yeah, well, we was a colony, this and that, and like, no, we don't believe that. Oh, the shit is remarkable that other people can literally say where they come from, and niggas are back there. But soon as the shit don't fit the scope, and they say, well, we come from here, and the Egyptians was this, all of a sudden, no. That's what they see, we acting like that ain't what they did.
But it's trying to get a clear picture. Actually, the questions exist.
Yeah, but why? Why exist for us? Why don't it exist for everybody else? It don't exist.
That's the same thing. The same thing we question the goddamn Limba tribe, huh? We know how we do with that. We don't. We got to take oral tradition with a
so we were just supposed to listen to the Limba.
The Limba don't got no oral tradition of coming from there at all. It was the Jewish dudes that came in.
But they got their own. They got that little thing that you agree is flawed. They oral tradition that say they.
The Lemba, hey, peace and love, it's Brother Garfield. The Lemba has a tradition that says that they come from white people.
Right.
All right. They have a song that they actually literally sang to Tudor Parfit saying, hey, we come from the white men from Senia, and that they changed to black. All right. So we got to be careful with claiming the Lemba. The Lemba, I'm not even going to disrespect nobody's culture anyway, but I'm gonna say this. It's funny, Unc brought up Zimbabwe. That's the long lost white tribe. It was white folks going in. I have the book. I talk about it with Michael Robinson all the time. The long lost white tribe. And they want to say there was this white tribe up in Zimbabwe or whatever. And the white folks went there and looked for the white tribe, was looking for it. Yeah, because they believe this guy, this anthropologist that said it. And I think one of the problems is that we use a lot of old material that's mixed up with the racism and the Hamitic myth. So it messes us up today when we're looking at this. I'm listening to Sean, not that I want to disagree with my brother, because I love him. That's my big brother right there. But I want to say this. We play too many games when we talk about Kemet and West Africa. We play too many games. And I'm not going to go into nothing right now. We play too many games. National Geographic.
Garfield, don't jump out there if you ain't going, hold
National Geographic, right? Don't allow me to see my DNA results online anymore, because their job, they wanted to collect like 1 million people's DNA. They're gonna have a report that's coming. I'm actually texting Spencer Wells right now. I'm trying to bring him on the show. But his report, you see, when I'm texting him and asking him questions, DNA answers a lot of things and we sleep on it. We want to depend on theories instead of dealing with actual facts that we can prove. The West Africans migrated that direction. That's just the truth. We can't get around that. The people who were in West Africa who had that marker migrated going towards the ancient Near East. But how many of them? 2, 3, 5? We don't know. The fact of the matter is, if we want to believe that people brought stuff from there and brought it to West Africa, we could believe whatever we want. All I'm saying is, I know I'm not no Egyptian, and I know based off DNA that the people who in America ain't got nothing to do with Egypt. That's just the truth. If we want to appreciate the culture and say, hey, you know what, that's a part of Africa, that's fine. Just declare it. Just declare that. That's what Uncle always say. They'll say, hey, this is what we're doing, X, Y, and Z. But I don't know why is there even an argument anyway with this dude, but that's another point. I wanted to say something to follow up with Sean real quickly. Whenever we studying West Africa, we got to read two people's work, David Goldenberg, and we got to read Robin Law's work. Robin Law is more up to date than Samuel Johnson from the 1800s, who wrote all these oral traditions based from a Eurocentric point of view that screwed us up. And that's the problem. That's the problem right now. That's the problem. So when we look at the Hamitic myth and all that stuff, hold on a second. Is my mic still on?
Yep.
Yeah. When we look at the Hamitic myth, and I said it the other day on the show, we always claim we come from wherever the Hamites come from. We always want to claim that. We don't want to claim nowhere else. We just want to claim where the Hamites come from. Egypt, North Africa, Ethiopia, which was Nubia, or Canaan. That's the only four places we are mainly Africans claiming that they come from. If that's intermingled with the oral tradition, you know where it came from. Ain't got nothing to do with us. So you could claim you come from Egypt all you want. You need to trace the roots of where it come from. You got the Yoruba family, and within the Yoruba, they come from 5 different places. And one come from the tribe of Nimrod. Where they get the word Nimrod from?
The Bible.
They claim they come from Muhammad, Prophet Muhammad's family, bro. His family that pre-existed him. Listen to me carefully, family. They're claiming they come from the family that existed before he even born. Where are they getting that from? Mecca, Medina, tribe of Nimrod, Canaan. What the hell is wrong with our African people? It's nuts.
Garfield, say the name of the two people again. You said who?
What are you talking about? Robin Law and David Goldenberg?
Yeah, okay. All right.
I got a matter of fact, you know what, send me the link in my thing. Let me bring up some stuff on the screen so that you guys could see something real quick.
I'm gonna see the link.
Give me 5 minutes. Let me set up.
All right. Where you at, Wuja? Unmute your mic, Wuja.
Hey, that was some good info though, Garfield. Go ahead, Wuja.
I'm not arguing against the oral tradition stuff. I already know. I don't even like the way it sounds. I argue every day about that. I'm not feeling the oral tradition stuff if we can't corroborate it with the rest of the evidence.
Hey, peace to the panel. I just figured out what the argument was. I appreciate Chef when you typed it into the chat.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to hear listen out for it, and I didn't want to disturb it.
We had already moved past it, but go ahead.
Okay, all right. Well, no,
the Egyptians say they come from in their own words, yo. On some real shit. I think you can help us with that.
Yeah,
he was about to make a point about the.
All right, make your point, then go back to that, Wuja.
No. I'm saying I'm not going to take the conversation back. I was listening to see what the original claims were, because I looked at the title and it said, Amara Squad Facebook group versus Chief X claims. So I was wondering what were the claims that you all were addressing. But I think so if y'all move past the first one.
No, we didn't. We were just talking in circles. But you can go ahead and make your point. Because you know what I mean, we want to hit.
Okay, well, I don't really have a point, because I don't know what the actual claim was other than what you typed. You said Asar said that African Americans are descendants of the ancient Egyptians.
Right.
Yeah. But see, I know working with Asar, I know what Asar is talking about when he says that, because he has several posts and I actually pulled up one. So I know he's not here to speak, and I don't want to pretend to speak for him. So I'll leave that to him to to elaborate and explain. But just from me knowing what we talk about on this subject, I think that a lot of people are probably going to take that out of context. So, but I'm gonna leave it to him to elaborate. But to answer your question though, the ancient Egyptians, what people believe, and it's mainly because of Dr. Ben, that the Egyptians say they come from the south, the foothills of the mountains of the moon, where the god
Happy, that ain't true. But go ahead.
Where the god Happy dwells, and so on and so forth. That's basically where that is like taken off, and that's just not true. Like,
yeah, we can't find that.
So that's
saying-
nowhere. So you're saying nowhere in the in Kemet do they make reference that they come from the South? Or you haven't found anything that says?
No,
That claim has not been found.
yeah, that's that claim has never been supported.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, but I can say that the Egyptians. Say it again.
I'll never say that again.
Yeah, don't say that. No, don't say that again.
Jay, don't jump out the window. Say it.
Yeah, the claim was made. It's made popular by Dr. Ben. Everybody repeats it, but no one can show the text from where that came from. So it's really just like a folk saying, But the Egyptians, we have to understand, right? I'm gonna make this clear. What two things you have to in this conversation that's being had, you have to define what makes a people, and that's very important, because a people being a distinct people, that's not like cut and dry. It's a gradient within that. A people can stop being a people. So and it depends on whether you're talking on what level or layer. If you're talking genetics, you can have a large group of people. Let's just give a number. Let's say 100,000 people that have the same genetics. They're the same genetic population, but multiple ethnicities and distinct people. So on the layer of genetics, and we're gonna have that conversation, we'll always be saying, they're the same. But on the social level, which is where ethnic comes from, ethnicity and things, and nationality and all these other kinds of things, these social constructs, they are very, very distinct people. So for example, in Kenya, you have the Luo, you have the Kikuyu, you have the Luha, and all these people in Kenya. And if you look at their DNA, ancestry and things, there's a whole lot of overlapping, and you would most likely say they're the same people if that's all you had to go by. But if you talk to them in person, they will probably kick you in your face if you try to tell them that they're the same people. And so we have to understand what makes a people in these conversations. I'm not saying that anybody's arguing that, but that definitely has to be made clear, So I just wanted to make sure that that's understood.
Yeah, I think we need to tackle one. We'll talk of, we'll deal with in terms of genetic, and then if somebody makes a social argument, and then I guess we can analyze how somebody would make the social argument or the social relationship between, African Americans or West Africans in Kemet, and then how you would trace that to the Americans.
Well, as I'm saying, I think people mix it though. If you talk about a genetic conversation, then people should stay there, and that's pretty easy, because all you have to do is look at what makes the Egyptians genetically Egyptian, and then compare African Americans to that. And if there's overlap, then there's your answer. If it don't, then there's your answer. It could be just that simple.
Yeah, it is.
So so they don't necessarily say where they're coming from. I just want to make sure I'm clear on that.
Now the Egyptians, that's what I was gonna say. The Egyptian civilization, what makes the Egyptian, they're an amalgamation of different people that come from the Sudan and from the Sahara area. So you got that west element movement, west to east movement, and then that south to north movement that converge on the Nile River. And then there are people that were already there for a longer period of time than the mass migrations that populated that area, and then formed the unification. And you also have to understand that Egypt at all times saw themselves as a nation, but they saw themselves as two distinct regions. One was in the Delta and the other one was in the Valley. And people do a disservice by saying Nile Valley civilization when it's really the Nile Valley and Delta civilization. That's why we get the word Tawi. The Egyptians themselves saw their own kingdom as two things in one. And so there's always two distinct enough groups of people that unified and stayed unified for over 3,000 years.
Good point.
So Egypt is not this homogeneous one thing. It never was.
Facts. That's the way I learned it. That's the way I thought it was. That
yeah, but he just
all of my
laid
reading.
right, but Unc, he just layered it. Like now that needs to be pulled apart even more. You understand? You see what I'm saying? To just tell us that, right? And that needs to be
Yo got that Nick Cannon camera, yo. That shit look like you making $1 million over there, yo.
that gotta be you know, you got to pull that out more, because I don't like who was the people in the Delta area, and then who was the people in, you know what I mean, in the valley. Like, were there any ethnic and phenotypical differences between the two? And like those things need to be talked about.
Ja Rule, you got that picture you can put up for Chevron?
What picture you talking about?
The one showing the valley and the one showing the Delta.
Yeah, I think he showed it last night.
Yeah, I showed it last night. I could show it again, but let me just go. Let me say this, that now what you just said, Sheffrin, that kind of emphasizes the point I just made, that we have to understand what makes a people, because the Egyptians ethnically called themselves the Lineage. That was their ethnic moniker. All right, collective. They were known as the Lineage, the people. The word Lineage means the people, and most people call themselves the people in their corresponding languages, like Bantu or Wantu, Bantu. You have, you go around the world and you ask the people the name for themselves, and it's usually the word for people in their language. So the Lineage means the people, and so when we try to do modern, racial categorizations, we're going to fall short, because race. Today's race is a proxy for phenotype, like the way people look and stuff. And we got to be careful not to do that going backwards in history, because they never did that, and they didn't classify themselves in that way. Nowhere near. So the people in the Delta were Egyptians. People in the valley were Egyptians. All of them were Egyptians.
Yeah, but you wouldn't say so. So then you wouldn't make the claim that, say, the first dynasty was sub-Saharan Africa.
Nah, the first dynasty were Nile Valley people, because the first dynasty was in the Nile. They weren't in the Sahara. So that to me that sounds weird and crazy. You can't say that they're sub-Saharan African when the dynasty wasn't over there in sub-Saharan.
I agree.
In the Sahara or sub-Sahara, it was right there where we call Egypt today. Egypt today is basically the same geographical outline that ancient Egypt was in ancient times. The first cataract
argument, right? Would you agree that, like,
his question was clear though?
Yeah, even at the time when you have the unification process going on in Warren, right?
Yeah.
Right. So even when these people unify, right, they're not necessarily unifying under race. Right?
No, they're not.
Yeah, they're unifying. So you're gonna have still that amalgamation there.
At all times, listen, at all times, it was an amalgamation. And at all times, even while Kemet was Kemet, okay, let me say this. I said this last night, I believe. Kemet was not called Kemet until 11th dynasty, right? So the kingdom was called, one of the other popular names is Tawi. And Tawi is a word that reflects the two regions. And so even in the Egyptians' consciousness, they always saw their own homeland as being two things at all times. Tawi. So at all times, even listen, in order to have a unification, you have to have two or more things to unify, right? Exactly. Right. So you can't, so I'm saying, it sounds crazy, I guess, because you just got to look at it for what it is. I think people may not know that and then say these things, but it's not very hard to me.
But what about sub-Saharan? Is sub-Saharan Africa really a thing?
Now, Egypt is not sub-Saharan Africa.
Right. So sub-Saharan people, right? That's a real thing, or is that something that white people just made up
White
about
people made
Africa?
that shit up. It's racist as fuck.
No.
Wait.
Wikipedia article tell you that though, Chef. If you want to play the Wikipedia game.
Hold up, listen. Sub-Saharan Africa and Sub-Saharan Africans is a designation for modern times that goes back to the Greeks. Because remember, from the Greeks' point of view, Egyptos is North Sahara. You have Libos or Libya, you have Egyptos or Egypt, and then everything south of that, which was south of Sahara, was called Ethiops, that we know as Ethiopia, not the country Ethiopia, but what our word Ethiopia. So that's where the crux of that starts, and then Europeans later on started to expand that concept, division between North Africa and Sub-Saharan Africa. And they did that in the midst of creating Egyptology as a study to divide Sub-Saharan Africans from one of the greatest civilizations on the planet Earth that they were trying to dig and get the mysteries out of, because they felt that if they found out the mysteries, they could rule the world.
Hey, what y'all? Peace and love, man, brother Garfield. I got a question. When the Greeks said use the term Ethiopia,
Speak out a little louder.
Yeah, you low.
where exactly did the Greeks mean when they said Ethiopia?
You said, what did they exactly mean?
Yeah, what did they mean?
West Africa too. I'm gonna say that. I'm gonna throw mine in the hat, and I'm saying that the Romans, they was talking about the West Africans too. They clumped them all in the Ethiopians.
He said the Greeks.
The reason why I'm asking, because remember the Greeks use the term Libya, right?
Yeah.
Whichever way they use it, and the term Libya has a greater meaning that would agree with what Ankh is saying compared to what Ethiopia means, because I don't think Ethiopia meant all of sub-Saharan Africa. I think Libya, if you read the Atlantis story, and this is my argument with the guy that claims that the what's the elder name, Dr. Clyde Winters, he's claiming that he knows.
Oh, we can't listen to him, yo.
Right, so me and him going back and forth, and I said to him, if you read the story, I said, where did he said, I said, you got it from white folks. I said, you never heard the term Atlantis.
Somebody got a TV on. Hold up, Garfield.
That's
Your stuff,
mute out.
stuff, man. You got $1 million equipment, bro. So your stuff be picking up everything. Yeah, but yeah, with Ethiopia, it's kind of confusing because Ethiopia seems to be a certain part that they're referring to, but Libya seems more of a widespread darkness. I don't know. I can be wrong. I'm just saying, based on what Ankh just said, I think that would fit more Libya in the eyes of the Greek, and Ethiopia would fit a certain part before you reach sub-Saharan Africa.
I'm gonna give you a source for it though.
Okay, so
I'm just asking Woodjaw for his perspective.
Yeah, so let me clarify.
Plays a role too.
Right, so let me clarify. If you look at old maps, how the Greeks designated the African continent and region, Libya would be the largest chunk. So the word Libya was used for the more broader of Africa. When it comes to East Africa, the Greeks did something different. When it comes to East Africa, they split it into two. The northern part of East Africa was called Egyptos, and then the southern part of East Africa was called Ethiops. But the rest of Africa, west of that, was Libya.
And you know what? We got to check if the Greeks even knew West Africa, because Libya probably wouldn't include, on another note, based off of what Wujawa just said. We got to see if they had contact, because we know there was some circumnavigation by Necho, the Egyptian king, where he circumnavigated Africa. So he's one of the guys who basically people refer to as far as the Egyptians knew the world and all this craziness that people try to, they embellish and stuff. He's one of the reasons why, because they did circumnavigate the continent as we know it as Africa.
Well, so you had.
All right, is Sean still on the panel, by the way?
Yeah.
All right, because I want to give give you guys, if anyone wants that book that I referred to, just email me now at askbrothergarfield@gmail.com, and I'll just send it to you right now. You ain't gotta send me no Cash App. I ain't charging you. It's for you. All right, I'm gonna send this PDF so everybody could get it if they want to get it. All right. Yeah, go ahead, with y'all.
No. I was just gonna just finish off and say that Egyptos and Ethiops were like a dichotomy in their view, whereas Libya didn't have one. So we know as Libya today is west of Egyptos, so west of Egypt, and then you have Egypt, and then everything beneath Egypt is, but still towards the east was Ethiops, and we say Ethiopia, and people confuse it with the country today, and that's what people say. Well, Egypt is a colony of Ethiopia and Kush and stuff like that. That's really a big mess that people make when they make those claims. Hey, that's where it comes from.
Real quick. Is that possible, bro? Do you have time for me to share my screen?
Yeah, hold on. Yep, I got time to share your screen. Let me give you the source for what I was talking about. The World History Encyclopedia. Real quick. Right here. There you go. It's a classical Greek and Roman writers refer to all of Sudanic and sub-Saharan Africa as, there you go. What's that? Ethiopica. While the term Africa originally referred only to the Maghreb and the region on the northwestern coast of the continent. Most Ethiopians in the Roman Empire likely came from East Africa through Egypt and Nubia, but new evidence has also highlighted the role of trade and military interaction between West Africa and the Roman Empire. Just want to put that in the ad for y'all.
And by the way, to the
and I just go ahead and
same evidence that
copy and paste this source and put it in the group. Okay. So it's gonna be more evidence coming to figure out. But I always make the point, like, come on, man, like.
Froze up.
Just froze up, man.
And what West Africa is he talking about? Is he talking about inner West Africa?
Like what year? I kept the year.
The Romans did trade with West Africa.
What year? What time period are we at?
Talking like 300 AD. 300 and.
Yeah, but I don't think it was a direct trade though.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, see, there you go. See?
Yes, it was.
No, direct. So
it was.
No, okay. Okay.
They didn't bring no.
So really, when it was black people fighting in Vietnam, they really wasn't Americans. They was Africans. Come on, dog. If you're part of the Roman Empire, Rome had outposts. They had different people incorporated into the empire. They were still Romans. So you want me to say white Romans? That's not what make you a Roman, and that sure as hell not what makes you a United States citizen. United States ain't just white people. Rome ain't just white people. They all types of people in the Roman Empire considered to be a Roman.
Right.
That's all
and
I was saying.
And then you had the conversation about, you said that the Romans had West African slaves, and I agreed. But is where did they get those slaves from? From North African markets.
That's the point.
That because it's like saying
the point is that they there though, yo.
Right, but
they
it's
there
like
though, dog.
The Romans wasn't going down to the Niger River taking black people. That wasn't happening like that.
Did you hear the source I just read? It said military interaction between West Africa. Did you hear me just say that?
Okay.
I just read it. So you saying they wasn't Roman soldiers, they was fake Roman soldiers.
Look,
they had the fake stances and stuff, the fake colors. They wasn't really Romans. Military interaction.
That's a rabbit hole. That's a rabbit hole.
Hey, but remember Ouagadougou was trading people.
How? You said they wasn't, you said it was indirectly. The source said military interaction. Then I thought maybe you was thinking that they sent some Berbers.
Yeah, but they were still in the Roman Empire. The Goths were in the Roman Empire. They fought all the wars for the Romans on the front lines. They're still considered Romans. They got mistreated. We went to World War I, World II, Civil War, right? We were still Americans, but we was horribly mistreated. But we were still Americans, though, Chef. That's all I'm saying, dog.
Okay.
That's the point I'm trying to make.
Okay.
I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, just say, nigga, you wrong. And I can live with it.
I don't think it gives a good picture. But
go ahead, share your screen, golf. What kind of picture you want to get?
Wait. Let me just say this. Like, if you all go back into the maps of Africa and go through the timeline of the famous maps of Africa, you see what I was referring to, and what you were referring to, and what you read, and what Garfield brought up. You'll see how these names started to change, even in the skill, the discipline of cartography or whatever, people. So the one I'm showing on my screen right now, you see that everything below a certain point is called Ethiopia, in the major part. And then in this one right here, this other one here, you see what I was talking about, where the same region down here from where this fat part of Africa starts downward is called Ethiopia or Ethiops. Everything here is called Libya. And then you have Egyptos way up here. So, and I don't have time to pull up all these maps, but if anybody takes the time,
I got a book.
What year was this map?
I got a book.
What year?
Say it again.
What year was the map you had a while ago?
The one of 1821, the other one's 1826, and you could it's a whole series of them. You can go backwards and backwards in time, and you'll see where these names start to overlap. And so what I was saying, if you go back into the Greeks themselves and go back closer to their own writings, you'll see what they were referring to. Ethiops and then you have Egyptos. And Egyptos was really a small part, what we call Egypt today.
What you got, golf? You supposed to been shared your damn screen. I cut you off and you jumped in. Come on, yo.
All right, hold on. Let me do this here. All right, where we at?
But hold why you do that? Who said they have a book with all these maps? Because that would be a good resource. Okay,
I got an atlas. It's called the Atlas, and it give you what the ancient names was. This is a big ass book. I gotta look for it. I got it. I did it on some videos that they was calling the whole shit Ethiopia. It was crazy with the A. Yeah, I think it was that. Yep.
So because remember the ocean, the Atlantic Ocean was called the Ethiopian Ocean.
Fact, absolutely.
At some point, so people forget about all of these things. So I'm saying, but whatever name of that book, if you have all the maps, if they have a series of them, that's a good resource for people to get, so you can keep up with the name changes of how the continent was perceived by different people.
I don't think I could share. Well, yeah.
I think that was a good point you made, though, Wuja. They try to call it sub-Saharan African to throw you out of Africa. Yo, like it becomes stupid. Everybody else can trade. Yo, think about the narrative. Everybody can trade, but not them niggas. Them niggas can't do it. The trade routes is there because the animals made the trade routes. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think nobody said that though.
Yeah, you saying it. Because I tell you what, I'll tell you every time you say it. And this is every time Social say, he say, what's the time frame? What's the date?
Yeah, because
trade routes is older than the people, dog.
Yeah,
I mean, the trade routes is older. The Roman trade routes they was using, Silk Road, that shit was there forever.
Yeah, always at the time period, so I can get perspective of what time we're talking about. Like,
I thought you was trying to say, yo, what time is it? And they wasn't trading 3,000 years ago. I thought you was trying to throw that in there real quick. You probably wasn't, though.
Yeah, but those trade routes, they were network trade routes.
Yeah.
It wasn't that the point. How I get it is a network trade route is point A, B, C, D, all the way to it get to North Africa. Direct trade, I don't like Romans wasn't the conversation that you was having prior to this. You're bringing up you're rehashing a conversation that we was having, and you doing it sparsely. You know what I mean? You throwing points out there, right? And you're not explaining the whole conversation that me and you was having. So
explain the whole conversation. Go ahead, Garfield.
Yeah, go ahead, Garfield.
For some reason I can't. Hold on. It says I can't share because the whole.
Now he can't share.
You're on the phone. Now you know how to use the screen shit.
No, I'm not on the phone now. I'm on my computer. It says host disabled participant screen share.
I told you that. It says
the host. It says
disabled for us. You got to turn it on for everybody, yo. Just hit the little arrow right beside it and just put the share on.
Hey,
I do it. I do it.
Yeah, that's Chef. Oh, Chef did that. See, Chef, you did that.
No, I just took the host back from you because obviously.
Oh, you trying to sneak me in. I'm gonna dive off when you dive off, Chef. You're not gonna let me out here.
Go ahead, Garfield. It's up.
I didn't know you put that title on there, Chef. Boy, you dog, you crazy, yo. Wow, he put the title on there, yo. He gave that dude some life. That dude gonna think we really. That dude is crazy, yo.
I don't know why.
Fish.
He got the whole pseudo killer group going there. I mean, the Almond Ross squad group. You know what I mean? Making posts about him. But go ahead, Garfield.
Yeah, I gotta put everybody on his head, yo. You in the wrong territory, yo. Yeah, I mean, when you're in Almond Ross squad territory, yo, you in the wrong spot.
Man, he's staying wiki, yo. You can't argue with somebody that can't get out of wiki. Who don't even follow the instructions.
Yeah, he can't get out of Wikipedia, yo. You be like, yo, get out of Wikipedia, yo. He just refused. I ain't never seen him hold up a book.
Hey, hold on. Somebody got this map. I need to find it. I think I got it. The ancient, since we arguing about trade routes, the oldest trade routes
right here
in Africa.
Yeah, let's talk about that's gonna kill them. Let's see, because you know they ain't used the trade routes. The reindeer really made the trails. It wasn't people. It was the reindeer. And then later on, the Romans and them used the trade. We just stared at the roads.
Is African Americans descendants from ancient Egyptians? Y'all talk everything around the damn point.
But I ain't never said
Don't
that.
Nobody want to address that. Don't nobody got no information on that shit. Though. You feel me? Shit is crazy.
I ain't never say that though, yo. So I'm trying to figure out why T-Vex
You ain't never deny it, You ain't never deny it. We want you to stand up and say, hell no.
On Facebook, yo.
Ain't no sense in denying it.
Yeah, because every time we say it, and they have it, I'll be like, yo, but you can't forget the fact, yo.
Right.
Like,
You mess up the argument. You start talking about trade routes and everything else. So we don't know what you're saying. We don't know what you're saying.
Chief X say there's no connection at all. No trade, no nothing. Niggas just looking at trade routes, bro. He even tell you there ain't no black people in Egypt, dog. Y'all ain't listening to that nonsense.
We ain't talking about that. Ain't nobody.
That's crazy.
Listen, this whole conversation though.
Look, they want to deal with they want to deal with what they want to deal with. He said.
Right. We don't care about the dumb shit. You feel me?
Like, look, they agree. They're like, nah, he wrong on that shit.
Yeah, we shared the question. We talked about the question when we first started.
All right, here go my answer to it. So you mean to tell me hold on. I'm gonna give you the point. African Americans in America can choose any African nation they want to glorify. Point blank. The same way the Europeans do, they have a bit of Irish in their motherfucking ass. Everybody do it, dog. But when we do it, all of a sudden we culture vultures. How you gonna culture vulture Africa?
That wasn't the point.
I can pick the Somalians. I can pick the Egyptians. I can pick the West Africans. I can pick the little crazy ass tribe in West Africa I want to.
You can pick the Hebrews. You can pull a Zion Lex.
Nigga, they not African. No, you can't.
They on the same tectonic plate.
That's right.
Zion Lex said.
So you gonna play a tectonic plate? Whoa. We're talking about African
people ladders. Look at them.
I want to say one thing.
Go ahead, Cedric. Then we're gonna let Garfield rock.
That's crazy, yo.
As people on the diaspora, the Caribbean, and the Americas, we are obligated to study all of Africa. Obligated, right? But to claim for me to make the claim that I'm an Ethiopian would be ridiculous, because I am not genetically the same as an Ethiopian. I can appreciate the culture, maybe embrace the language because it's beautiful, because it's African. I can understand that. But to now make the connection that me in the Caribbean, a West African descendant, is now an Ethiopian or Somalian or Egyptian is a bit far-fetched. We are not genetically the same people.
Let's listen to Garfield. Go, Garfield, before you fall asleep.
A lot of Jamaicans would disagree with you on the Ethiopian. So
Facts.
Yeah. The Rasta.
Selassie.
Hey,
Right
hey,
there,
hey.
Lassie Eye, Lion.
Selassie.
I got a question for y'all though. I got a serious
Hold
question for y'all.
on, hold on. Let Garfield go.
go ahead, Unc. Let me make Unc finish his point, man. It's his
No,
show.
he ain't got it yet. Go ahead, Garfield.
All right. Yeah. So this is the book called The Studies of it's called The Black Enslaved, The Origins and History of the Curse of Ham. It was written 2017. But this is page, what is it, 262 in African History. So it's talking about the Yoruba people. People of the land of Yoruba.
Mute out, mute out.
Yeah, everybody mute us up.
Were the tribe of Nimrod. The reason for their dwelling in the West, based upon what has been narrated, is that Yarab ibn Qatan drove them out from Iraq towards the west. They then journeyed between the lands of Egypt and Abyssinia until they reached the lands of presently known as Yoruba. The explorer Hugh Clapperton visited Bello in Sokoto and copied large parts of Bello's work, which he later published. The story of Yoruba origins corresponds to what Bello wrote, except that Clapperton has the Canaanites originating not from Iraq, but from Arabia. Another traditional history has the Yoruba coming from Medina. Still others put their origin in Mecca. Another West African source, the Kana Chronicle, details the history of the Hausa people of North Nigeria, whose origin it claims lie in two migrations, one from Baghdad and one from Canaan. On page 262 now, older scholarship accepted the historicity of these migration stories. The consensus of scholarship today, however, does not. Robin Law and others have concluded that the Yoruba stories are legendary. The more general view nowadays, at least among academic historians, is that these traditions of migration from the Middle East are to be explained by the expansion of the influence of Islam in sub-Saharan Africa in relatively recent times. The concern of African peoples to claim origin from the Islamic world reflects no more than a desire to relate themselves to what was seen as prestigious world civilization. And then for
Stop
those,
right there, Garfield.
and for those, hold on, and for those who are sent the book to, you see all the sources here. This is the important part of it. So you could get into what's really going on as far as the traditions and so forth. But go ahead, my brother.
You can get Insal's work or back that up too. The archaeology of Islam and sub-Saharan Africa backs that up too, as far as what more recent scholarship says about that, because of those tales, because the archaeology does not line up. You know what I'm saying? You finding pigs in certain places where they supposed to be Muslims. You don't find pigs among them, among the Muslims, not in their lands or nothing like that. But the influence of Islam is the reason for that whole we come from Arabia and all of that. That's confirmed by not only Insal, but a lot of the other scholars.
Yeah, so pretty much even with the claims of Ghana, Robin Law mentions the kings of Ghana who claim descent from the Caliph Ali, the son-in-law and fourth successor of Muhammad, the founder of the first royal dynasty in Songhai, believed to be of Yemeni origin, the royal dynasty in Mali, which claimed descent from two companions of Muhammad, and the royal dynasty in Borno, which claimed descent from Saif ibn di Yazan, who, although living before the time of Muhammad, can be thought of as a proto-Islamic hero as a defender of Mecca against Christian imperialism. So the Saharan Kunta people trace their descent to the Uqba ibn Nafi, the commander of Muslim conquest of Maghreb in North, and so on and so forth. But the purpose of these people, ladies and gentlemen, is basically to claim an origin from people who are doing So what happened is when somebody like a Wesley Muhammad now is reading these oral traditions, they say, you see, the West Africans say they come from Arab, they come from Mecca. That's what they do. But I rest my case. Where everybody went.
Yeah. So I'm gonna mute. You want to come back and argue or add something, put something on the floor.
Trying to figure out though is what is the claim being made?
Oh, okay. So yeah, Chief X claim.
Are you talking about Chief X claim or the claim that we put in the show? The claim that we're addressing in the show.
Well, either one. I'm kind of lost.
That's one of his claims.
Y'all kind of went back.
The claim that the show was set up on. Do African Americans have a connection to the ancient Egyptians?
Okay, and what? Okay, so I would have to ask. I would have to ask in what way? Culturally, or genetically, or what?
Well, I think we are refuted genetically, but if you can make a culturally argument, then sure, let's say that one.
Okay, well,
how did y'all refute it genetically though?
Wait,
when all they got is just shit in the Delta. I just want to know. I'm listening.
Let me say this. I'm an African American wholeheartedly, and I have my paternal genetic markers go back to I share genetics with Ramses III. So me being alone by myself, being African American, does that refute your claim?
No, I said a social argument. So you're saying your link?
No. I thought you. I'm sorry. I thought you said genetic. Sorry. I thought you said genetic.
Yeah, social argument. I mean, because I'm 2% Middle East. Middle Eastern.
Hold on one second, guys. Hold on 1 second. I don't want to take over the show, but Jao made a very good point that he shares genetic markers with Ramesses III. But we also need to understand that the genetic marker, which was once called E1B1A, you have different types of E1B1A mutated at different places, like in South Africa, West Africa, and the people that migrated back to the ancient Near East. So we know that African Americans who have the EM2 marker / what was formerly known as E1B1A don't have the same markers as the people who migrated from the EM180 or the EM78 markers or the EM96 markers. So we know that the people in Americas, talking about the Caribbean, we're talking about North America, South America, those people have the EM2 marker that's unique to West Africa because that's where it was mutated. So I don't think we are related, definitely, but we're not the same mutated from the same mutated marker, meaning that I don't think Ramesses III migrated from West Africa to Egypt.
No, I don't think so either. But here's the thing. That's why I asked specifically for what the claim question is.
Genetic claim. Okay, I got you. I see. Oh, you were sitting.
So here's my question. See, I'm just going by what I'm told. So
right.
If Chief X is making a claim that African Americans have absolutely no connection to ancient Egypt, I said by what means? Culturally, genetically, or what layer are we talking? So somebody said genetically. I said, well, that one is not true because genetically, I can use myself as the example. I do share an ancestor with Ramses III.
I think over 70% of African Americans share an ancestor with Ramesses III.
So if that's the case, then we can't say that African Americans are not genetically related to ancient Egyptians.
The wording.
We just got to be honest with that. And just talk it out.
Right there.
Huh?
Yeah, he got y'all if y'all mean it that in that sense. But we know, as I stated before, the EM2 marker in West Africa is totally different than the E1B1A, formerly known as E1B1A, back in with Ramesses III. But they are related. They come from the same tree.
Yeah, they come from the same tree.
Fudishi got it right then.
No, he don't. So they playing games. Look.
How can you refute
Oh,
Dishi?
listen. That's why I'm very specific with my
you shouldn't have used the DNA when you said, you know what I mean?
I ain't going in for these. I don't care what.
Most people on the planet share similar DNA. So
no, but Sheffrin, I asked specifically in what
I know. And he messed that up. He gave you a way to.
Not my fault.
Yeah, that's not your fault. I get it. That's not. But you know what he was saying, though, Buja. You know what he was saying.
But Chef,
so it confuses.
What was he saying? What was he saying?
But Chef, if that's the case, though, then Dishi can make the same argument Wuja just made.
No. Yeah, but they won't let Infadishi get away with that.
See what I'm saying?
They gonna kill Infadishi on that.
That's
they to murder that man on that like that. Go.
You didn't hear what Wuja said. Do you have a connection? If you listen to the words that Wujao is using, we are not the same. Listen, the EM2 marker, you know, some people in South Africa carry the EM2 marker. They're not the same as the people in West Africa when they're mutated. They're two different people that mutated in two different regions of Africa.
Right, but you see how clear you're being, though, Garfield?
Yeah.
You see how clear you been? Like, that's making it clear that no, we're not the same people. So we can't be descendants of ancient Egyptians.
No,
that's
but hold
clear.
up. But hold up, wait. See, this is why I say in these conversations, believe it or not, man, the pace that you all are having this conversation needs to actually slow down even more, because you have to understand what layer you're on in having the conversation. That's why I said I just named two, culturally or genetically. But there's
culturally. I said we can get past genetic. I said if you can make a cultural connection, I said then make a cultural connection.
No, because on that sense, my stance is that none of us on this panel are even African. Because now if you want to talk culturally or whatever, we're full stock Americans. I'm a United States citizen. We're Americans.
Yeah.
So when you talk the social constructs of nationality and ethnicity and stuff like that, then nah. So that's why I'm specific when I ask the question, and whatever claims Chief X is making, I haven't seen them. But if you're saying there's absolutely no connection and it's just a blanket statement like that, that's not even worth having a conversation, because you can't.
Yeah, but it's not Chief X statement. It's from a SARS post. It's from the post. He said that check the post again, Chef, so people can see the post. It's not Chief.
Let me share a SARS post on my screen so y'all be able to see it.
Yeah.
All right, and then we're gonna read from it. Now I don't know if this is the same post you're talking about, but I'm gonna read from this one because this is the same.
2019. Go ahead.
Garfield saying that marker was in the Nile Valley at a different time period, meaning the marker that Ramses got is mutated. That's what he's saying.
Well, I mean, the age of Ramses. I mean, Ramses III is older than any slave trade you could ever imagine. So, I mean, the term is slave trade. So we all know that,
right? But he inherited that marker the same way we did, right?
No.
Mm-hmm.
No,
what? So Ramses didn't inherit his marker the same way we did.
No.
So don't it come from an older group?
That's what. No. You got to be careful with that. You got to be careful because those people is from the back migration, and it mutated later on. But if you're saying that we in West Africa, this is the point that I'm trying to make. The people in West Africa, 70% of those who came to the West are through the transatlantic slave trade, came from a marker that mutated in West Africa.
West Africa, right?
That's my point. The one that Ramesses is from, unless you're going to say that Ramesses migrated from West Africa to Egypt, which contradicts everybody's conversation. So I'm saying, how are we looking at it? Did he come from South Africa? Where did he come from? It's not the same mutated EM2 as in we in West Africa. It's not. That's always been my stance. So when we say Ramesses III, but he comes from the same EM96 marker that eventually mutated, and then that person probably moved in or back migrated into the Levant era.
Okay, but see, that's great. But I'm saying, man, everybody has to be very careful with these conversations, because where a people come from, and then say, like asking if people X come from people A versus do people X have a relationship with people A, those are two totally different conversations.
Yeah.
Okay, let's deal with the first one. Do people X come from? Do people A come from people B? A being the Egyptian, West African being the B.
Okay, well, since I have this on my screen, let me read this because I think this is what you are. This is Asar's own words since we talking about whatever Asar said. So, can y'all read it? I mean, can y'all see it? Because I'm just gonna read it.
I can't see it, but go ahead and read it.
We can only see it when you talking. So everybody be quiet while he reads.
It's too little. I can't see.
Okay. I can't make it bigger. Let me see if I can make it bigger.
Read it. It's all good.
Okay, here you go. I made it bigger, so you should be able to see it now. All right, so I'm just gonna read it. So it said, so it's Asar. Now this is from December 12, 2019. So I'm not sure if this is the same argument you all talking about, but I'm just gonna read this one. It says, we have to be careful in how we frame arguments and not distort what is actually being claimed. I often hear people accuse those who choose to practice ancient Egyptian culture of claiming that they are direct descendants of the ancient Egyptians. I have yet to come across this claim from practitioners. What we have are individuals who recognize their connection to ancient Kemet as a result of the Egyptians being Africans and the cultural, linguistic, and genetic link to the rest of Africa. Studying or practicing the culture of ancient Kemet doesn't automatically neglect the honor, care, and concern for the cultures found on the west coast of Africa. African Americans come from all across the continent of Africa, from Senegal, Gambia, Ghana, Liberia, Nigeria, Benin, Mali, Ivory Coast, Cameroon, Congo, Angola, Gabon, Mozambique, and Madagascar. We have a variety of cultures to identify with. Now, should I read more?
Yeah,
because here I'm seeing Asar claim that African Americans have a bit of all of Africa in them.
Yeah.
I think Chef had the post. I think that's a different post. Did I say post, Chef?
So the best thing to do is get Asar on here because you know.
I think he might be busy.
He's studying.
Yeah,
okay. No, the only reason why I say that is because I've been working with Asar for quite a while, and I know what Asar says, right? And I said earlier when I first came on, I said if y'all talking about Asar, people probably gonna take what he said out of context, and so Asar right here seems to go against what you all are saying. Asar said.
No, this is a new one. Last time he was on here with us in Garfield, he doubled down on it and he said he wanted all of the smoke. He was saying that. All right, hold on.
No. All right, then if that's the case, then the only appropriate thing to do is get Asar on here.
Right.
Outside of that, we might as well leave Asar's claim alone because.
Hold on, I'm gonna put the direct quote up. It was taken from the Facebook group and conversation.
All right, so why you do that? I don't know if you can still see my screen. Let me.
Yeah, we can see it.
Read the other paragraph real quick. He goes on to say, what studies continue to show is that what became ancient Kemet was the result of the migrations of peoples from Sudan and the Sahara, many who later became some of the populations in West Africa. The argument is that those Central Eastern and Southeastern population centers were the seed cultures that ultimately produced the ancient Egyptians. This is confirmed by the 12 tribes analysis of Hawass et al. 2012 DNA analysis of the few New Kingdom mummies. When the DNA tribes put in Hawass et al.'s numbers in the white Atnes haplogroup predictor, they determined that Ramses III had a Y chromosomal haplogroup of E1B1A that Garfield brought up, which is now known as EM2, basically, which is a sub-Saharan haplogroup. The Nisud-BT pharaoh Ramses III of the 20th dynasty results is shown in the image below, blah, 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 of who he clusters closest to. Notice that he has a...
See the image?
Huh?
Is that the image below? Let me see it.
Yeah,
I can't even find that DNA.
I'm gonna scroll up to the image and let me finish reading this part. Notice that he has affinities with the community in some of the very places that African Americans came from, especially the Southeast Africa, where my maternal haplogroup originates, talking about his. Note that you have people still named Rahmos in Zimbabwe and Mozambique. The attraction to Kemet is ancestral, and it is because of this Pan-African ancestral connection that we can still detect culture, language, rituals, and religion in these modern societies, which were recorded in ancient Kemet. Part of this is due to migrations and others due to these cultures being the seed cultures for what became Pharaonic Egyptian. So historical context is key. All this and more I discuss in Luja Volume 2, etc. But here's the map he's talking about, if y'all can see that now. So that's a more complete argument coming from Asar. So I don't know if he still would articulate this the same way, but like I said, if he was on here, that's the best thing to do. But I'm just sharing what he said in the past on this topic. And look, and Garfield, can y'all hold up? Can y'all? I can't even scroll up further. Even on this post, Garfield said Baba Heru and Mfundishi claim to hear from Kemet.
Yeah, that's an old study. I can't even find that no more though, yo.
Garfield
That's
was on
kinda-
there saying that.
Huh? What? That study?
If you talk, we can't hear you.
I can
You
hear
can't
him.
hear me now?
You chip up.
No, I can hear him, but you can't hear him, Sean. I can hear him.
Dang.
I hear you.
Holy
Huh?
Ghost in you.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, that's like
So
that's
I
an
don't
old
know.
study. Yeah, never really find that study no more.
I don't know if you all want to just wait maybe another time. Sorry, get Asar on it and then get him to elaborate and all that good stuff. But the Chief X claim, what it
That's
sound.
crazy, man. We're not dealing with that. That's crazy. Like,
Oh, okay. All right.
We're not giving that shit no light.
Okay.
Like, first of all, scientifically, they wouldn't even say white people. So we don't even need to.
What'd he say? Hold on, what'd he say though?
I think he was saying. I think he was saying something about Egypt was like. I think he was trying to make the connection between Egypt and white people, some shit like that.
I mean, why is he that stupid though, yo? Like, what the fuck is like? Why would you even be that stupid?
I think he making Berbers different than you know what I'm saying. He's separating the Berbers from Africa, sub-Saharan Africa. So he's saying the Berbers. He's saying the Berbers built. I think basically he was saying the Berbers built the pyramids.
Dude,
But you know what's interesting? You know what's interesting?
Damn, wait, hold on, wait. How? Watch this. This is how stupid Chief X is. So the Berbers coming to Africa 50,000 years, right? Mix in with populations of Sahara, do all that.
The saucer give him 30 minutes. Good God. All right, go ahead.
Listen, they built, listen, dog. In the old kingdom, yo, is this nigga just stupid? In the old kingdom, Berbers, Asiatics. So basically, wherever the Asiatics come from, wherever the Berbers come from, they learn burial practices in Africa. Am I correct?
If Berbers from all the geneticists that I done seen, they're saying that Berbers are African. So we messing it up.
Right.
No, like we're messing it up.
No, me and you not messing it up, sir.
Huh?
No, me and you not messing it up. No, me and you agree. No, me and you ain't
Right,
messing it up.
but
No, we ain't messing
the
it
way
up.
that we're having the conversation like the Berbers are not Africans.
Yeah,
right?
Berbers
So
are
it's throwing people off because we're thinking phenotype. We're thinking that an African has to look a particular type of way. And if he don't look a particular type of way, then he had to come from somewhere else.
No, they're not sub-Saharan African.
Right.
Yeah, the Berbers are not sub-Saharan. That's why they enslaved our behinds. No.
Right.
That's so him.
That ain't enslaved though. I don't think they did that because we wasn't that. I think these niggas just enslaved niggas.
No, they didn't want to do farming the whole 9 yards, yo. I mean, culturally, they didn't resonate with us, yo. They thought slaving us to work and till their lands was the right thing for them to do culturally.
The Chinese, the Indian, the Arab, and the Persian all live in Asia. They look different. They are not claiming that the other one is not Asian. We have a problem with accepting that Africa is a whole continent with different phenotypes.
Berbers built the pyramids. Chef.
And what would be the problem of that? If the Berbers are African, what would be the problem?
It wouldn't be a problem. But I'm asking, did the Berbers build the pyramids?
I don't know who built the pyramids, phenotype wise. The phenotypically, if we're describing the phenotype of the people, I don't know who.
Just one group. Listen, Egyptians built the pyramids, yo. You feel me? I'm fucking with you just now.
No, but if the
Egyptians leave out all the other Egypt, that's what I'm saying. When I say, like, he exclusively says the Berber African built it, that's not the truth. Because you got Asiatic cities, dog, townships, workmen. It's all documented. I ain't tripping.
They had beef with their neighboring people though in Kemet. They wasn't just receptive to neighbors. They distinguished them in kind of, their harsh reality at that time.
And the Berber culture, the Berber culture and language is not static. It moves. It encompasses more than just that phenotype of people that we're talking about right now.
They sucked up everybody's culture too. Yeah,
it's people in the Sahel that look sub-Saharan or what we're called sub-Saharan African. That is people in Nigeria in the north who they know used to be Berber because of their language, right? They moved into into the Sahel and below the Sahel, but we can tell that they come from they spoke a Berber language before they adopted. So that thing is
not Somalians.
Huh?
No, I was saying something to do in the chat. They ain't Ethiopians either. This dude said Berbers are formerly Ethiopians. Wrong. Berbers are Arab. No, Berbers are, what he say? Berbers are Ethiopian, and then he called them Somalians.
Yeah, we messed that all up, man. We messed it all up. Like, we can't get over the fact that Africa is a big continent, right? Well, and it has different phenotypes throughout Africa. Somebody put it in our head that Africans look one type of way.
Yeah, that's right.
And we cannot get over that. If you don't look,
the Berbers built the pyramids, though.
If you don't look like a Nigerian, right, then you must come from somewhere else. It's in our head. We can't get over it.
That's racism.
Yeah, we cannot get over it.
But did the Berbers build the pyramids, though?
Oh no.
Or did the Egyptians build the pyramids? See, that's what I want to know. Thank you. And what makes up the Egyptians, though?
The Sahara and the
amalgamation of different peoples.
Yes. Okay, there you go. So there you go. That's the answer. Shut the fuck up, Chisak. Shut the fuck up. Now, there you go. Fucking idiot. It's a damn idiot, man. Stupid. Stick his chest out there, yo. The Berbers built the pyramids. Why not just the Asiatics built the pyramids? Why not just the sub-Saharan type built the pyramids? Why not that? Why you pick the Berbers? Now, and you can't find no written documentation to say the Berbers built the pyramids, but he just say it. Fucking idiot, dog.
That ain't in no journals or none of that stuff.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I pay no attention. He's making a claim. He's just saying because they're in that region, they've been there for that long. That it ain't scientific. He just, that's what I'm saying. He's not scientific. That's why I didn't really, I pay the argument no attention.
Yo, what happened to the black people, yo? That's all I keep saying.
What happened? See, that's the wrong question.
No. What happened to the sub-Saharan Africans?
That's the wrong question.
Why not? I'm just wondering. They've been on the river first. We do know that sub-Saharan. We know that sub-Saharan, no matter what you say, Chef, right? That sub-Saharan Africans, Homo sapiens, right, migrated out of Ethiopia. They was there first. Then you start getting
they was in Israel first. Like just because they was in Israel first.
Wasn't no damn Israel first. What you mean?
So who the hell who was the first people to make it to the Levant?
No, what's your point, yo?
The point is that the point is that of course black people right, was a lot of places first. It don't mean that they are the progenitors of the civilization that exists.
What happened to them though? So what happened to them then? That's my point. Where they go?
They could have mutated. They could have been supplanted.
I want to get y'all on record. So the niggas that was on the Nile mutated to something we don't know no more. I got it.
That race thing is crazy. That race thing is crazy. The race thing is crazy.
Okay, no, I'm talking about the Elmont that was on the Nile.
They never left.
They never even left. Everybody don't leave, yo. Like, how we gonna make them just leave?
When?
Like, they ain't got no part of nothing, yo. How that make sense to themselves?
At what time? Like,
anytime, yo. You got people who never left, yo.
That's
why
that's not even.
Hold up, but that's why when Uncle Banu when he goes to Kenya and he goes down to Ta-Nehisi, and he get with them people down there. You know what I mean? They down there holding it down, and they tell a different story, in Ta-Nehisi. You know, and they looking like me and you, Chef.
Right, but all of them are there. What is it?
Hey, Chef, I'm with you, though, Chef. How long you gotta live in a place to be indigenous, yo?
What about whether they still there?
Right, definitely. Listen, the African, even saying the African opposed to the North African, we are messing it up. We're messing it up big time.
We know what you're saying though, Chef. When you say African, we know what we're using it as an identity.
Yeah, but when we say African, I guarantee you, even in my mind, because I was taught in the same system as y'all. African to us means black. It do. So even when we're saying this on YouTube, most of our audience is thinking one thing. And when we talk about North Africans and the different people of North Africa, the different phenotypes, we're not taking into consideration that they are African too. It's mixed up completely. I know you ain't say that, but when we don't explain it and we talking and when we're being super general, and I know Buja and Sean like to be more detailed in the way that they explain things, I'm saying explain that in detail like we explain everything else. Don't just gloss it over and say African, because you know when we say African, what the general idea of African is in our community.
Okay, so let's use what we've based things off of. So let's use now. Okay, let's not make a phenotypical argument at all. Let's just say the whole continent is African. No matter what we say, all of those people, right?
Are African, right?
Right. So when we say an amalgamation of Africans built the pyramids, we are speaking in reference to the many shades that existed in the areas during the time periods the pyramids needed to be built.
Facts. I can agree with that.
And people that will be coming in from the Middle East.
I ain't going that far.
So we gonna make the argument that niggas
can't
walk.
Deny that though, Sean.
So we gonna make the argument that niggas walk from West Africa.
I'm just not gonna make that argument.
I'm just saying. So we gonna make the argument that niggas walk from West Africa to goddamn.
So
niggas can't walk from Mecca.
We know that we got evidence. We got evidence. I would be disingenuous. We got evidence, right? We have the archaeological evidence for a presence from people from the east in the area in a small pocket.
Yeah.
Right. We got evidence. Well, hold on. And I'm trying to admit it here. We even got evidence that the Remech adopted some of their gods,
of course,
into their cultures through the years.
Yeah.
But some of those gods didn't make it to the south. Some of those gods stayed in certain areas. And they never crossed over like certain parts of Kemet, but they were designated in certain areas and was recognized. But there was no temples or anything like that dedicated to these gods.
Yeah, but still, that don't mean the people that People left.
No. I ain't saying that the people didn't recognize it. I'm saying it was different. It had a limitation. It was accepted, but it had a limitation.
For sure. Yeah.
Because they didn't erect any temples or anything like that dedicated to their gods like that. But there was a presence there, and we knew who these gods was, and things was wrote about and mentioned. We had that in evidence. So I can't make that argument. I would be just sitting up here lying, just to try to defy the presence of them people from the East.
Yeah, I mean, because if you fighting the people, they're there. Wherever you taking women and taking them, they there because you fighting them. You know what I'm saying?
Let's do this. All right, let's put some science on it.
We agree on that?
Yeah, I agree with you 100% on that.
I'm gonna one up y'all even better, yo.
Okay, go ahead.
Ain't no such thing as rape.
I got something.
We say rape.
Ain't no such thing as rape. So if there ain't no such thing as race, then what do we look to? We look to what we know for sure about Egypt. We know for sure that it's a homegrown indigenous culture. And y'all can play the game, Chief X can talk that dumbass shit, and it's a homegrown, simply indigenous culture. There are things they do, right? Like sun, they tropical people. Sun worship is heavy. By the time you hit the Mediterranean, you go farther north, right? Different things stand out. You all the zoo types in Egypt is African animals, zoo types. So why ain't you bringing the tiger in if you coming from Asia some damn where? Why ain't you worship the tiger like you don't got the memory of that? Why ain't they doing all the things, you know what I'm saying? Why ain't you building structures that was built in Asia? Like, why ain't you doing it? All right, okay, so simple. It ain't even confusing. Homegrown African culture, by the time you go to Europe, fire becomes precious. Fire in Africa is for cooking. Fire in the colder regions is for cooking and staying warm. The fire becomes sacred. You look at the Hebrews, the fire is sacred. Okay, it's just sacred. Don't let the fire go out in the temples. The Olympics, the fire, don't let the fire burn. They pass the flame on. The flame becomes sacred. Why is fire so sacred? Because it keeps you cool, it keeps the animals away. Now in Africa, you know what I'm saying, you can blow the damn fire out. But in Europe, if you let the fire go out, you might as well just get your ass whipped because you done got all of us. Now we just dead because the sacred fire done went out. The sun is sacred in Africa. You can read Cultural Unity by Diop. He does a great job to show you different things. It's all right in front of your face. The drums, the stools, voodoo, it's a cultural continuity, like just the whole, you can just look, wavy line pottery. Wavy line pottery don't come from the Middle East. Man, like it don't come from the Middle East. Where they break up the bones, right? Crush the bones and put it in the pottery. You know what I'm saying? Like these things. So I'm just trying to figure out like what are we talking about here? There is no race. But what we're saying is it's called African culture, the culture that our ancestors came from. So I don't care what nobody say, I got every right to pick and choose what African culture I want to deal with. And if you want to play the whole game about I want to be a Middle Eastern Jew and all that, then you could do that. But don't try to make that African, call it what it is. You can even say you're a Roman, and dress up and put the Roman hats on and be a Roman. You can do it. You can just do it. So I don't get it. What I thought was that Jabari and all them, they can connect themselves to Egypt if they want to.
Yeah, leave that man alone.
He can do that if that's what he chooses to do. But what he can't do is he can't create rituals that ain't legitimate and teach people that's exactly, you can't do that though. But he is allowed to play Egyptian. If he so chooses.
But to say the
now we gotta do, now we all gotta do the West Africa. Well, if I show my DNA, then what? Come on, man. So what? I can't play Somalian now. I can't do that. I can't what? I just gotta go straight with. Nah, man, come on, yo. That ain't how they went. What about before we knew about DNA? Then what? What was you doing? You were celebrating Africa. So now we call ourselves triangulating into it. Okay, my DNA markers coalesce with people in Somalia and West Africa. One on my mother's side, one on my father's side. So what? I can't what? Come on, man, it's just stupid, yo. The chief ex crazy ass went to West Africa one time and lost his damn mind. One damn trip, lost his mind.
He lost his mind before that.
No, he really lost his mind when he got there.
But listen, DNA will not tell you what culture you are. All right, we gotta get that straight. DNA will not tell you what language you speak or what culture you are or what you call yourself or none of that stuff. So
can you hear you, Sean?
That's Wujat.
That's Wujat.
Yeah, I don't think I don't think we're not making that claim.
No, but I'm saying
it was simple. I don't know how it's not being addressed, and is
what's not being addressed.
That the claim was that African Americans are descendants of the ancient Egyptians.
Yeah, I thought Asar was coming on to address. That's his claim. So Asar's
yeah. Now, if I'm wrong about even if I'm wrong about that statement, if he didn't say that, nobody is making a stance on that on this panel. Like nobody is saying.
I'm on this panel, and so what I'm asking, I asked the question earlier. I said that the connection between African Americans here in America and the ancient Egyptians, we're trying to see if there is one or isn't one.
He said descendant. All right, let's say I say it. Forget Asar.
Okay, so
let's say if I make the statement,
so descendant,
that African Americans are descendants of the ancient Egyptians.
Right.
My statement.
Right. So
how would y'all deal with that?
Okay, so I'm saying, are you talking genetically? That's what I would ask you. And I asked that earlier when y'all had said yes. I said, well, me personally, I have a shared ancestor with Ramses III. Now what?
That don't make
explain what that means, shared ancestor.
So I mean, genetically, everybody's African. So at some point,
that wouldn't be right.
Right.
So we're starting to make distinction, even along the lines of genetics. We're starting to make distinction between groups.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. So we're gonna go around and find out that the question is really kind of silly, because like that's what I said, culturally. Because I'm saying African Americans are not even African. I don't care who you think you are on this panel. You're not even African. You're not West African. Are is a present tense verb. You are not West African. You are in America.
That's a fact.
And that's a fact. Can nobody refute that? I will put money on that.
No,
on this panel.
No, I don't argue that. I'm on this. I've been on that.
I
never say that. I mean,
so if I'm saying that, I'm saying African Americans are not Egyptians, are not ancient Egyptians. Now, descendancy, you get into genetics. Then the further back you go, that's what I'm saying. You had to slow the conversation down.
Are we descendants from West Africans?
Are we descendants from West Africans?
Yeah.
Yeah, like me, I can speak for myself again. Mm-hmm. My DNA, I share most of my DNA is shared with present day West and Central West Africans.
Okay. Now,
but I am not a West African.
All right, but you are descendant from West Africans, right?
Yep.
All right. Now, is there anywhere in your DNA that you are descendant from an ancient Egyptian? You can't use the Ramsey.
Why not?
Because it's saying that y'all have a common explain that again. Explain
wait, but hold up, but okay, but
see, to the Ramses, the way that you explain the same way that you understand that you are the descendant of West Africans, explain the Ramses connection as simple as that.
Okay, no, I cannot without first explaining that autosomal DNA test results or admixture results that you see percentages of, that everybody talks about percentage, only can go back 5 at the max 7 generations, max. So everybody that's talking the percentage stuff is not going back that far. So when I bring up Ramses III, that's a different DNA story. That's paternal lineage. We're talking linear and lineage, Y chromosome. All right, and so that's something different. So that's the answer to the question. Are we connected or have anything to do with ancient Egyptians?
It's not going back that far. So when I bring up Ramses III,
I'm hearing
No, so that would answer itself. So a connection can't be made genetically that way, because you can only go back 5,000, well, not even 5,000, like about 6-7 generations, and you got to deal with recombination. So that kills the argument right there, as far as making a genetic connection about percentages wise.
Yeah, I'm here now. I can speak for myself if anybody had any questions.
So hold on. I saw here too.
I'm gone. I'm out of here, yo. Cause I ain't gonna do that but cuss the nigga out. Let me get out of here.
Okay, so you guys want to lie on me? You don't want it from my mouth.
Hold on, man.
Don't do that, though. Why you do that, though, Chef? Yo, why you do that, yo? Why you bring that sucker on there?
Wait a minute. Don't get scared now. Don't get scared.
Why you do that, though, Chef? I'm talking to Chef right now. Yo, I ain't even talking to you, yo. Chef, why you do that, yo?
I'm here to speak for myself.
Look.
Why you do that, though, Chef?
Because he was the center of the conversation.
No, he wasn't. He was the center of your conversation, yo.
I never made that time. I can speak for myself.
No, you can't. You're a fucking idiot. You cannot speak for yourself.
I can speak for myself. Don't get scared,
No, you can't. And you know it was gonna be fire, yo. You know it wasn't gonna be no congenial
fire. I thought you guys were adults. Aren't you adults? Can't you guys have an adult conversation?
Man, look, check this out, Chief. Check this out, bro.
Can you have an adult conversation?
Don't play the adult role on me now. Do not play the adult role on me now.
No, it's always an adult conversation with me when I come on.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
No, yes, it is, because you're insulting me now, and I haven't insulted you. You're turning it into something else. Not me.
Man, because I asked Chef not to bring that nigga on here.
I'm here. Can I speak for myself? Anyway, people are asking me. People are asking what my claim is.
People ain't asking you nothing, Chef.
Let me tell the people what my claim is. And let's get it out, so we won't be lying on each other. Y'all listening?
Go ahead.
Okay. My claim is the same claim you made.
Next time, Chef, before you do that, yo, let me know ahead of time, bro.
Oh my God.
I reserve the right on who the fuck I want to talk to, I don't want to talk to, bro.
You're looking scared right now. Relax.
Nah, nigga, I ain't even talking to you right now. I'm talking to Chef. I'm not talking to you right now, bro.
Asking me what my claim is.
I'm not talking to you, and the hell the people's asking you shit. They don't know shit. I'm talking to you, Chef. Chef, check this out, bro. Next time, bro, I reserve the right to pick and choose who I want to talk to, I want to talk to. I'm just saying, can I get that, bro?
You got that. You got that.
Thanks a lot, yo. Appreciate that.
Okay. My claim is the same as yours. Ancient Egyptians built the pyramids. I also added, because people have different names and different terms. One person want to say it was a melting pot. One person want to say it was an amalgamation. One person want to say they were this, that. My claim is North Africans, Egyptians built the pyramids. Whether you want to call them North Africans, Berbers, a melting pot of people. I'm talking about the people in northern Egypt around the Mediterranean Sea. Them people built the pyramids. Then later, I said, the Nubians built some pyramids after they were influenced by the Egyptians. This is not crazy talk. This is not talk out of my mind. This is the reality. So to call me crazy for just simply telling some truth. My other claim is we are not genetically or culturally related to the ancient Egyptians. That's not crazy talk, that's reality. People can call me crazy and nuts all they want, but they know it's not crazy talk, it's reality. On top of that, Wujaro also knows when people use this Ramses III thing, they're also white people. They're also Arab people who also have that in their DNA test. Are we going to talk about that also? Because that's confusing things. I have not stated anything wrong.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about
crazy, or anything that's out of sight and crazy.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
Everyone knows this.
All right, let's get
people are mad for the simple fact that I'm trying to detach us from focusing on Egypt so much when we're West Central Africans. It is insane.
Allow for response. Let me get it.
Let me just
got contention with something.
Okay, let me wrap it up. Give me 15 seconds. Okay. People are acting like, I forgot my dang point.
Yeah,
go ahead.
They should probably deal with that Dr. Ben claim, though. That's what I'm here for. What about Dr. Ben now, yo?
Let's do it one at a time.
Right. Let's do it one at a time, Mark.
Yeah,
Slow down.
You just probably get that right, though, Chief. That's all I'm saying.
We
Get that
can talk
shit
about
right,
Dr.
yo.
Ben
And
first, but
let's
continue on.
Let's go
Yeah,
one
we
at
can
a
talk
time.
about the Dr. Ben thing also.
Go ahead, Wuja.
No, I was saying that that should be talked about. If we're gonna have a genetic conversation, then let's have a genetic conversation. If we're gonna have a cultural conversation, have that. But we can't blend and mix the two, because that's two different things. It's informative, two different things. We can't do that.
So is my thinking crazy? Or am I out of my mind for saying this when half the chat is agreeing, and I'm sitting here watching for the last hour of them agree? So is half the chat crazy also?
So do you agree that the Egyptians or the pyramids are built by the people that coalesce right around the Mediterranean Sea?
I've been saying for 2 years that ancient Egypt became a.
I'm asking Wuja if they agree with the statement. If there's any contention with the statement, so we can find out where the contention lies. We move on to the next.
No, Wuja was talking about the DNA, the Ramses. That's it.
Yeah, I as far as what's the claim on the pyramids? Somebody saying aliens built them? What?
No, you don't hear what Chief Esther said?
No, not about the pyramids.
Okay, let me clear up what I was saying. You're talking about what I said about Ramses, correct?
No, earlier you said that other people have that genetic haplogroup or marker or whatever the case is.
Right. It's a distant marker.
Yeah.
That also people who took 23andMe that are white and Arab have that also the same marker, not just us African Americans.
No, yeah, and that's what I was addressing. I don't.
No one said that though.
Huh?
No one said that here.
No, I'm saying when you just said it, that's when I interjected and said, because you asked the question, you said, are we going to talk about that too? And I just simply answered you and said, yes. I said, we should. That's all I said. I said, we should.
So is my thinking crazy or nuts?
We should. But I'm saying, here's the value of that. There are a lot of African Americans whose paternal haplogroup, paternal line goes back to Europe. There's a lot. Matter of fact, I could give you a famous person who everybody knows because he's in the business of DNA testing, Dr. Rick Kittles. His paternal haplo lineage or line goes back to Europe. So he has a European haplogroup.
I don't disagree with that.
No, I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying the value in this conversation is not very valuable to bring these things up, because what does it inform us of?
All right. Well, if there's no contention with that, then let's get to Dr. Ben. I know.
Hold on.
Before y'all, hold on. Asar here.
Oh, my bad. What's up, Asar?
Before y'all try to leave that, you also got to keep in mind the nature of clustering. It's not simply that you have white folks with African DNA and Arabs. We know that these Africans have been going and settling and making colonies in the Middle East since pre-dynastic times. So it's not surprising that people who we would call today, Arabs and white folks, have that haplogroup. The reason why it's significant in the study is because the bulk of the haplogroups in terms of where these people are populated are in the same areas in which African Americans are derived from. And so people keep forgetting that African Americans, and I can pull up my DNA to demonstrate this, also come from Southeast Africa. And when you looked at that map that was posted by me, that Wujawu showed earlier, you see where the clustering happens. It happens in Southern Africa. It happens in South, where the Great Lakes region is, and also in the center dead where it's Cameroon and things of this nature. This is important because, for example, when you like Jean-Claude Mbole, he has a parent that is a native Songo speaker and of heritage. And he also has a parent, I think it's his father, is from the Azande people. The Azande people don't originate in Central Africa. They originate in the Sudan. They migrated. And this is before cars. This is before trains and things of this nature. They migrated. So when you see, for example, those clusters there, like in the Central African Republic and Cameroon and stuff to this nature, it makes sense knowing the history and things of folks. So just looking at like DNA studies without historical and archaeological information distorts the conversation, and we talking in circles because we'll be making points as Wujawa was just making that are non-points whatsoever. I have a paternal haplogroup that originates in Europe, but there's no way in the world you would look at me and say that this person is a European. And so, you know, we always got to keep the conversation in context. And I just wanted to state that for the moment.
Yeah, so let me just also clarify something, what I'm saying also. So for instance, when Withdrawal was asked, do we have a genetic and cultural connection to Egypt? Withdrawal used Ramses marker as his connection. So my point is also, other races can use Ramses also as their marker. So we just cancel that on out. And we need to start using Ramses.
Because as I stated before,
I don't mean it in that. I don't mean cancel out in that sense. What I'm saying is, if you're saying you have if we're saying we have a genetic connection to Egypt because of some very distant marker with Ramses, and other people also have this very distant marker with Ramses, then everybody's from ancient has a genetic.
No. Let me just respond to that real quick. So you may have missed this. So when you're doing the haplogroups, for example, you're gonna find people in other areas that will connect and their lineage to a certain haplogroup. But what Asar just brought up, you have to look at clustering. You have to look at the majority. And so I have on the screen right now the map that I showed earlier, where, and I'm sure if you took 23andMe or some other companies' DNA testing, they're going to show you your DNA matches in a sense of colors, and how dense the color is how much it clusters versus how shallow it is. So yeah, you'll find people with these haplogroups and things, but if you don't have the full story, you're not going to be able to make sense of how a group of people will cluster with that haplogroup in a dense population. Because when you're talking about genetics, you have to talk about population of people, not individuals. So I do not descend from Ramses III, but I share paternal lineage, the same paternal lineage as him. And that's a totally different statement. So I don't descend from him, but I share the same paternal lineage as he does. And so Egypt itself is an amalgamation from people from the Sudan area and the Sahara. And so if these people, if he's included in that group, then and on the map, you see these yellow circles where this haplogroup is more dense, then it's going to make more sense that, yeah, you're going to have these odds and ends of other people having it, but this is where it's dense at. And these are the areas, especially on the left in West Africa, that's Central West Africa right there. That area, what country is that? Cameroon. That's where a lot of people were kidnapped and taken from. Do you agree with that as far as that area?
Yes.
Okay, so you can't rule that out in terms of the connection. So you can't say that just because a few white people or whatever, racially white people, have the same paternal lineage then everybody does. No.
I'm not ruling it out per se, but to me personally, it's so distant. It's a stretch to me when people use that.
Well, I'm saying, but see, that's why I said earlier before, when I first came on, is that this conversation is really a multi-layered conversation, and you have to know where you are in the conversation to really have a meaningful conversation on a level of genetics, ethnicity, culture, or whatever the case is, and not to blur the lines. And in each layer, you have to inform yourself of all the information that's pertinent to that layer. So people are not using the E1B1A in isolation all by itself. it's about okay, where is that haplogroup and what people are known for it to be clustered, and where is that? And were those people part of the people that were kidnapped and taken in the transatlantic slave trade that could have a connection with African Americans or not?
Right. And also Dr. Keita also states that there's marker that connects North Africans and Sub-Saharan Africans. If you want to go, we really want to go back that far.
Well, I mean, there's gradients. There's gradients. It's not. There's no definitive line where a certain DNA markers will have to stop. Like it can't penetrate a force shield or something. So you have intermixing, and you have convergences. You have people that are mixing. So I don't.
Okay. So yeah, I just came on to basically kind of clarify who I said built the pyramids.
But who said that the Egyptians didn't build the pyramids?
I don't know who said that. That's something that people made up to lie on me about.
Oh no, I heard you say. I thought you said Berbers. So like I said,
No.
Let
me say it again.
I heard you already made a statement. Okay. That's why. So we clear up. So that's already cleared up.
Okay. So somebody needs to apologize.
So I don't.
Okay, well, if you didn't say Berbers, I thought you said Berbers also, though, right?
No. Let me just. That's what I said. Let me just repeat what I said.
You did say. You said.
Let me repeat what I said so we can all be clear right now.
No. We'll tell you what. No. If you didn't say Berbers, I apologize.
Let's cease it then. If I can't repeat what I said to
I already apologize.
Now.
If you didn't say Berbers, you didn't say Berbers.
Let's move on. I said whatever people want to call them. I'm talking about North Africans and Egyptians.
Okay, so now let's clear up the area.
I threw a bunch of terms out there for whatever fits, whatever.
All right, good. All right, so now let's clear up the term. You said Dr. Ben was a cult leader. So let's go ahead and address that so we can kind of see.
Wait. Okay, hold on. Before the Dr. Ben piece, I just want to listen. You know, I can appreciate this kind of conversation, but man, it has to be slowed down further. You can't say North Africans did whatever. That's like too broad and vague. Like, you know how big North Africa is.
Ethiopians are North Africans.
Okay, so let me clarify again. That's what I was trying to do before he didn't want me to clarify. I'm just throwing it out there because people go by different names and terms. Everyone's not specific. My point is the Egyptians built the pyramids. More specifically, North Africans.
Well, no, that you're going backwards. Wait. So hold up. I get what you mean, but you actually went in reverse. North Africans would be more broad, and the more specific would be Egyptians. So I think you went the other way.
Right. Well, I said Egyptians, and I'm just Egypt is North Africa.
But so is the Sudan.
I mean, it sometimes it's considered that, but you know.
As a matter of fact, Sudan is not even sub-Saharan Africa.
Right. I agree to that. It's not. It wouldn't be considered technically sub-Saharan Africa.
Matter of fact, parts of Mali wouldn't be considered sub-Saharan. So like this North Africa is a broad statement that says nothing at all. It's a vague concept to really try to, these are terms that certain people in academia try to use to separate and keep this racial thing going when it comes to.
I think you're trying to make it too broad to include us. That's my opinion.
No, it's not. I'm making it too broad. You just agreed. Mali is in North Africa. Sudan is in North Africa.
What? No.
Libya is in North Africa. Is it not?
I didn't totally agree to that, Asar.
You did agree. It was no. It's no. See, they try to do like sub-Saharan Africa.
So you can understand.
They try to say sub-Saharan Africa. Pull up if Bujalu.
Let me clarify so you can understand what I mean. My point is, Sudan technically can be considered North Africa.
It's not no technically.
Hold on. Let me finish what I'm saying. Let me finish what I'm saying. My point is, when people are talking history and cultures, they don't throw that in as part of North Africa. When you look up what is North Africa, usually Sudan is not listed. Although I somewhat agree with you is all I'm saying. If you want to be that technical,
is that these arbitrary lines, when you go to an actual map and look and see what they're claiming is North Africa, it includes these so-called sub-Saharan African countries. And it's a label that means nothing. you know. And so like when we're having these conversations about, you know, cultural connection, as Wujawu said, you have to slow the conversation down and actually read the literature from the people who are producing and making the statements, so that you can know the many different layers of connections and things to this nature. So when you talk about, you know, a more ancestral, you know, going back to the dawn of human history, those types of connections, like for example, when Dr. Soikita makes the statement about the PN2 marker, you know, that's an ancestral thing that connects all African people.
Right.
But there's also issues of more historically relevant migrations and trades and things of this nature. Then you have like not so distant issues of language and culture that has been passed down from the proto language, you know what I'm saying, to the daughter languages. And so when people start talking about, like, people don't understand like how widespread the worship of Amen is in Africa, you know, and Ra, for example. But if you don't know historical comparative linguistics, you know, you won't know these terms and how the dialectical variations change the pronunciation of things. And so when historians and linguists and things examine these are ways in which, for example, if we was to cluster the ancient Egyptian society, just in the same way that if we was to cluster the groups of the E1B1A for Ramesses III, everything for the most part clusters with inner African folks, West African, Central African. The Greeks said it themselves. Later, European historians said it themselves, that when you put ancient Egypt up next to its next door neighbors, the people in the Levant, the people in Arabia, the cultures and stuff does not match. The languages don't match. The rituals and things don't match. But everything that you see in ancient Kemet, you see in West Africa, you see in Central Africa, you see in Southeast Africa. So when we're doing a cultural and cluster analysis, you see these types of connections there. There's many different layers to the conversation. And the people who are trying to narrate the discussion hasn't read none of this literature, hasn't been through none of these deep DNA studies or language studies, and don't understand what it is that they're listening to, and just having just willy-nilly conversations everywhere and just making up claims, you know. And so this is the most frustrating thing about having this conversation. You know, most people don't even read French. And if you would read French, you would find these like primary observations and things and testimonies from like French colonialists in places like Senegal and stuff to this nature, or the recordings of their oral histories and things of this nature, where they're talking about migrations from Egypt. There's no Egyptology at this time in these parts of West Africa. There was no influence from people trying to get into a glorious past. And so it's just irritating that people don't want to just sit down and read and study, but we have these deep conversations that require you to read a lot of literature.
Now, okay, guys, okay, sorry, Jesus Christ. Okay, everybody in the chat, most people in the chat, most people on the panel, we all read and study and research. Let's just be honest for a second. You know what I mean? So my point is, African Americans are not descendants of ancient Egyptians. All the other stuff, people. Okay, well, I don't think so. You think so?
Well, let's see the argument. That's what we were waiting on. So go ahead and make the argument.
This would it come the rubber meet the road.
Yeah, let's get it, baby. Shoot.
Hey, you know, I don't understand what the confusion is, since we've had this conversation 100 times on this show already.
We're not convinced at all.
Otherwise, we're not gonna be able to hear you say and things of that nature, man. That's why we brought you on.
This is exactly what I said before, and I'm gonna say it again.
I got North Africa map on my screen, just so everybody know, and Sudan is part of North Africa. Just want everybody to understand that. All right,
cool. Yep. It was built by North Africans, Ethiopians. Now, as I just stated in my previous, not previous conversation, but my previous statement, that there's many different layers to Africana history, and some of these include migrations, and there's archaeological evidence, there is linguistic evidence, and then there are recorded testimonies of these various different groups migrating from ancient Egypt, some during the Persian and Greek invasions, and some later from Moroccan Sudan, in places like, Nigeria and Chad and stuff to this nature. And so this is almost 1,500 to 2,000 years ago. And those people settled and became part of the genetic populations in which they settled. Some of the cultural stuff they were able to pass down, and it became integrated and adapted into their own unique way. And these are the areas, for example, in Benin, in Cameroon, in Nigeria, in places like Ghana, and especially in places like Senegambia and Senegal, where nobody argues that these African Americans come from these places. And so it is interesting that all of a sudden, these people who migrated and settled and became part of the genetic population in those places in West and Central Africa we just throw away those testimonies and things of this nature, and other archaeological evidence in terms of like metallurgy, because certain groups in West Africa wasn't doing metallurgy, and when those Egyptians migrated on the northern part of Africa, ended up in places like Morocco, and then moved down into Senegal, they brought with them a tradition. They brought with them a guild. And like, this is the stuff that is discussed in the actual text. I didn't say that people didn't read. I said people didn't read the information.
Sorry, let me get clarity. Are you saying kinky-haired Egyptians migrated to Morocco and then came down to West Africa?
Yep. And kinky-haired Egyptians also migrated and went to places like Kenya. Kinky-haired Egyptians also migrated and went into places like Cameroon and Benin.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And made us direct descendants of the ancient Egyptians.
Yeah, I'll put it like this. Name an indigenous group in Senegal besides the Wolof and the Fulani that were caught up in the slave trade.
In Senegal?
In Senegal, or in Senegambia, Liberia, just name a group.
I can't. You name the one that you feel is.
And I said it can't be Wolof and it can't be Fulani.
And this is going to be proof that they are.
No, it's not going to be proof that they're Egyptians. The point I'm making here is that, again, there's over 64. There's like 54 to 60 something groups of ethnic groups of Africans who were caught in the transatlantic slave trade.
Do you have any documentations of kinky-haired Africans migrating from Egypt to Morocco?
Yes, I do. And
okay, we'd like to see that one day because no one has ever seen that.
Because you don't read. Again,
we read. So nobody reads but Asar.
Yes, nobody reads the material but Asar. And I cite the stuff in my text all the time.
Slow down, bro. Slow down.
You have the text.
No,
and if you read the text, you would see the citations.
No, I don't care about your text. We're not using you as no goddamn source.
I'm saying the citations. I'm not saying I'm a source. If you would just read,
no, hold on, Asar. You made a claim that kinky-haired, nappy-haired people like us, like me and you, migrated from Lower Egypt all the way to Morocco and then down into West Africa. I just need to see that.
Wait. Let me say something. Asar. So Chief X, let me say this. Chief X, Asar just said that he is not the source of it, but he cited the source in a text.
Don't fucking listen.
Wait.
No, I couldn't hear him because I was talking. I was just trying to get clarity from him.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes.
So wait. I'm gonna clear it up for you real quick. So you have one of Asar's texts where he cites the sources already in your possession. So what he's saying is that
let me be clear. He cites the sources for kinky hair. Hold on. He cites the sources for nappy head people like me.
Yes, he said he cited it. He said it's in the book.
I just don't know how simple I can make it.
Okay.
What
was the name of these people? What was the name of these
people?
Read the
text. It's in the introduction. How many times do I have to tell you to read the text?
Can you tell us what the name of these people who migrated? What's their name?
Wait, hey, Asar, what book do you have that in?
It's my screenshot.
Illusion Volume 2. So, Chief X, do you have Illusion Volume 2 in your possession?
He ain't never fucking read it.
I gave it to someone so they can do some research with it. I don't have it in my possession.
You don't have it. Okay. All right. Then, all right.
When you get it back, read it.
Let me get this straight. He gave the book to a linguist to deal with an argument.
This is he asked me. I'm being honest and saying I don't have the book in my possession. I don't know if you want me to lie and say I do have the book in my possession.
I'm saying, remember he said he was going to get the book to somebody at UCLA. Why don't you just call him up?
No, this isn't the whole. You're changing subjects to a million things. Stay focused. I'm just simply asking, do you know the name of those people nappy-headed people who migrated from Egypt to Morocco?
Tell people the book ain't what you gave it to them for, yo. I'm just trying to help you out, Chief.
Okay, good. That's okay.
you messed that up, dog.
Okay, I'm asking the question again. Sorry, do you know the name of this group of people?
Yes, I do, and I cited it in Illusion Volume 2.
Can you tell me the name of these people right now?
Well, let me first let me finish the point I was making before you interrupted me.
Okay, but usually when people are making a point, they'll say the Obugo Migrated all here. They'll say the name. You didn't say the name for a reason.
All right, Chief, take a pause, man. We get there. We
okay. Okay, I'm just want to make sure.
You rushing everything. You trying to microwave it. He gonna get to it.
Just slow it down, baby. Let's go. Son.
Okay, go ahead.
So now let's go back to the original question and topic.
Igbo.
The what I was getting at is there are a lot of minor groups in Africa, and especially that were caught up in the slave trade, names that people don't even know or even talk about. But even in their small numbers, because from the last thing that I looked at, I think it was like maybe 1.8 of the percent of the people of the 10 million folks that were taken from Africa and made it to the United States come from Senegal, Senegambia area. But you still claim them as Africans are descendants from them. Most African Americans aren't descended from Wolof people and places to that nature. But because you have a small percentage of us that are descended from them, we collectively say we are descendant from them, because they're no matter how small the percentage, we still carry those genes, and they were caught up, and they make up our ancestral DNA for African Americans. And it's the same thing in these areas in which we come from, and that those people come from. These are where the settlements, happen. And I talk about this, and for example, in Illusion Volume 1, in the introduction, of the 6 migrations that were documented from Egypt to Senegal. And there you find the names of the folks, names of pharaohs, and all of this other kind of stuff recorded in like 1908, 1911.
So pharaohs migrated to Senegambia?
I didn't say pharaohs. I said names of pharaohs, of people who were reigning at the time.
Oh, okay.
So like this is in the oral traditions. Like this is who was ruling. This is the reason why we left. Da 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 da. All of this is documented, but it's in French. And so I had to translate certain arguments from the French into English. There's whole text written on these things.
You speak French,
and so I try to introduce African Americans to scholarship in other languages, whether they be German or French.
Let me ask a question though, so just for clarity. So you're saying like you found the in those places they were making references to the Pharaoh.
Exactly.
And it was saying this is why they fled.
Yes. And some of them, like the first migrations, I think was a result of Persian invasions and the hardships under the Persians. And that stayed with them even to the modern time.
But sorry, would you agree that some cultures in West Africa have a lot of folklore stories that is not true? Would you agree to that?
This is you can say that about anyone.
No, I'm just yes or no. Do you agree that some cultures in Africa have folklore stories that are not scientifically true? Because Garfield came on here
or historically accurate.
Garfield always mentions a lot of folklore stories, and he breaks it down that they weren't true. So, do you agree with that?
It depends. It's always possible, but I said that about anyone. You could do the same thing about American history.
So you possibly could be talking about a folklore story and trying to put it off.
Yeah, but again, this is why we have methods. Like there's whole text, there's whole text on research methods on how to evaluate oral traditions, which Garfield has not read. Which if you would have took courses in Africana studies, you know, these would be required readings.
So are you saying Garfield is wrong about the Limba tribe and all these other things that he's clarified?
In terms of, he's not wrong. Well, it depends on what aspect of what they're talking about is right or wrong. The DNA evidence is clear that, you know, these males coming from the Middle East had settled, slept with a gang of women and left. Which is happening in China with Chinese in Africa right now as well. In the future, you're gonna see a whole bunch of Chinese DNA in Africa, but some of them brought their culture with them and their oral traditions. And you couldn't say that they were just making this stuff up.
Well, I can say that. I don't think it's true, and I disagree, along with probably 90%.
You can't disagree because you haven't examined the evidence.
No, it doesn't.
Right now, this is what you say, Chief X.
I can disagree, just like you guys can disagree with me. You guys can disagree with me. I can disagree with you.
When you don't know something
that I don't know. Slow down for a second. You can't talk the whole entire show. It's okay. First of all,
I'm not talking the whole entire show.
Hold on, Asar. First of all, it's okay for me to say I disagree, and that it sounds crazy to me. I don't believe it. It sounds far-fetched. And it sounds like folklore.
This isn't a religion, and this isn't about your beliefs.
It sounds far-fetched, and it sounds like folklore, okay? And that's why I asked you, do you have this documentation?
Let me jump in, man.
Hold on, but before you say that, I just want to make this statement clear. When you don't know something and you haven't examined evidence, you don't have an opinion.
Yeah,
all you can say at this point, Chief X, let me speak. I'll let you speak.
You're not going to tell them. You're not going to keep telling people they don't have an opinion. You're not going to keep telling people that they're dumb because they don't know linguistics. You're not going to keep telling people because they can't read French. They don't know shit. You're not going to keep. You're not going to say do that.
Chief X is in his feelings because he knows what I'm about to say.
Why don't you tell? Asar's been talking for 30 minutes nonstop.
Brother,
it's a family show, man. He's part of the family, man. That's what he do, bro.
And that's okay, but every time I want to get a word in,
look,
I'm not going to continue.
Brother,
on.
I was talking
and stop. Like right
Chief
now,
Chief X.
No,
I was talking and you just
I don't want to say
interrupted.
nothing, but I'm just saying it
Chief
sounds
X,
like
you interrupted me, bro. Somebody mute Chief X's mic. God damn.
No, goddamn.
As I was saying, when you don't know something and you haven't examined evidence for anything, you don't have an opinion.
Right.
The best that you can say is, this is exactly what somebody mute his damn mic.
Gee, chill out, bro. Damn.
I swear these beta males always come and try to interrupt and talk.
No, it's where you're trying to give a goddamn whole damn lecture and won't let nobody get a word in the side.
Like that, Chief. Chill out with all that, bro.
Yeah,
Like you gotta cut that shit out, man.
I've never seen a grown man cry so much.
No. You guys playing this game. This nigga gonna call me a beta male, and he's low key trying to insult me. Nigga, fuck you, nigga. I wouldn't give a damn what.
Man, see what I'm saying, yo? See, that's why you bring that bitch ass nigga on here, yo.
No, you bitch ass nigga. Don't call me no goddamn beta male. And we can't read because we don't know French.
On,
and
y'all.
We don't know linguistics.
All right, chill.
You,
chill.
Nigga. Who you talking to?
Chill. Hey, Chief, chill.
Put him in the bosom.
Look, chill. Everybody chill.
Okay, well, when he gets to calling people beta male, tell him to chill.
Look, everybody chill.
Hold on for a minute, Chef. Check this out, man. I don't appreciate, check this out. Me and you have these conversations all the time. And you'll say something. You say, did you read that book yet? I'll be like, nah, I ain't checked it out yet. So I don't have an opinion on a book I haven't read. If I give you a source of some books, you're like, I ain't seen that yet. You know what I'm saying? You don't say you got an opinion on that. It's not hard. No, I haven't read that yet, Unc. I ain't read that yet, Chef. Asar, I ain't read that yet. Wuja, I ain't read that yet, bro. Wuja say, yo, no, where'd you get that anthropology? I haven't read that yet. No one has an opinion on literature that they have not wrote. It's simple. These are the rules that we work by. And this is why Chief X is always on the outside looking in, because he refused. Dude, Wikipedia ain't that slick, dog. We start with wiki and end in journals. I got my own DNA test. What you gonna do with me, dude? My shit say 73%. Let me just finish my point. My shit say 73%.
But how you jump in? And I was trying to get a point in. No. It don't work like that. Asar was talking, and I was trying to get a point in, and here go you jumping in.
Don't nobody care about your point, nigga. You won't let him finish.
You're not gonna bully me.
No
we can just shut it down there. You're not gonna bully me.
I'm gonna do you like this. I'm gonna show you how. I'm gonna show you how.
And this can't be going.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm okay. Let me just say something because I'm okay. Let me just say this. Let me say this real quick. Chief X.
Wuja, how can you have an opinion on something you haven't read, yo? Please explain that to me, yo.
Okay.
Can you explain this to this
I'm gonna do it.
There is no opinion on something you have not read. It's called a literature review. I'm tired of being nice with this dude. He's fucking bananas. Everybody knows
I got the solution.
Talk long.
Listen,
we know that, but he was almost to the point.
No, you bananas. You bananas.
Look, I got the solution. So this
is solution is not have this bitch ass nigga on here.
No. See, that's what I'm saying. When you call me bitch ass, Asar call me beta, and I'm supposed to be quiet. Fuck you, nigga. You nigga, fuck you,
motherfucker.
I am trying to be the voice of reason. So listen. I have the solution. Wait. Here's the solution.
Hear your mouth.
Wait. Here's the solution.
Niggas in the chat call me crackhead, all kind of shit. Nigga, fuck y'all.
Niggas,
wait a minute. Have you guys told them in the chat to chill out insulting me?
Chief X.
Hold on. Let Wuja look.
Wuja. Have these people in the chat been insulting me all night? Did anyone tell them to chill out? Hold on.
No, wait.
Did anybody tell people in the chat to stop insulting me?
Wait, I'm not paying attention to the chat.
Okay, well, I'm telling you, they've been going off insulting
me. Hold up. Let me just address something.
Did anyone stop them, and why not?
Let me say this because this is not.
Say Asar, chill out. Don't call him a beta male.
Hold on. This about the chat, right?
Did someone say Did someone say don't call him a bitch ass nigga? Did someone say that?
Hey, Chief, this chef, yo, check it out. This not Sinetta, right? So we don't control the chat. You know what I mean?
Right.
We don't tell the chat.
Okay, but
whatever's going on in the chat. All right, yeah. Now you can address something that's going on the show with the people on the panel, right?
Okay.
Like you can definitely, ask people not to call you a beta male or people not to call you bitch or a crackhead on the panel.
Any was on the panel. I'm addressing it.
Hey, but he's not on the show right now. We're talking. Okay. We're trying to have a civil conversation.
Well, just let it be known. Just let it be known that everybody's been insulting Chief X all day, even people on the panel. Let's not play dumb.
Okay, but let me.
You shouldn't have came on then. I shouldn't hit that link.
I want to get this out. Let me just get this out real quick. So listen. People do it all the time. I experience it all the time. people will give their opinion about anything, and they have an opinion. That's what they call it. So, but really, it's not the fact that somebody can and cannot give their opinion. The real issue is the value of that opinion. So here's an example. If you give an opinion, in your eyes, it's your opinion on something that you have not checked out yet, or read yet, or watched yet, then although you give your opinion and that's what you're calling it, that opinion has no value at all. So I just want to clarify that people
right. Okay, so I got you. So since you clarified, let me
him
respond.
finish. Chief, let him finish. Let him get it.
So
okay, go ahead, Woojah.
Okay.
So everybody gives their opinion, and that's what they name it. But the value of it is what really matters. And so for me personally, I'm going to speak for myself. When people give me their opinion about things that they have not yet read or watched or investigated, that opinion that they're giving me has no weight. So it goes in one of my ears and out the other one, or I take it, ball it up, and I throw it in the trash. So I'm just saying that's really the issue here.
I got you. So let me be clear. The reason why I'm the one who threw out folklore is because I have heard of it and I have looked into it. I had a whole post about it one time. That's why I mentioned that it was folklore. It's the same similar story Mfadishi told. I'm clear. That's why I have an opinion, because I have read about it.
No, you asked for the citation, though.
Let me just finish. You cannot keep telling people what they haven't read or what they don't know, and that they don't read, they don't research. You can't do that. That's not how you have an adult conversation. And then you expect for that person you're having a conversation with to be like, okay, yeah, I don't read, and just sit there looking stupid. I've heard about this. I've heard all about what Asar's talking about.
So then you've seen the citations then, because he asked you if you
heard about it.
No, yeah, it's folklore.
So you read the citation they left in the book?
Listen to what I'm telling you. I've answered the book. Hold on. I answered the book thing already. You're being petty right now. Listen to what I'm telling you. I've heard this a story Asar's telling, and I made a post about it, and we had a whole dialogue on it, and it's folklore.
You heard about it? What does that mean, you heard about it?
I heard, I read, I talked about it, all the above. God damn. Now let's move on.
All right, let me get in here.
I got an opinion on what I read about, what I heard about, and what I listened about. I have an opinion about it. And in my opinion, it's folklore and a lie.
I got you. You got you, yo. Here's my point right here. On the pseudo killers, man, this home court. So you expect the crowd to be a little rowdy. Whenever you go on somebody's home court, they're gonna be talking reckless. Stay out the peanut gallery, dog. If I'm on your channel, they're gonna be talking reckless towards me. It's the nature of the business, yo. You can't let that unravel. As for me and you calling up names,
let him finish. I'm not the only one unraveled here. I'm not the only one unraveled here.
Let him finish, bro.
Let me finish my point.
Well, I was supposed to let Woojah finish, then I'll jump in. I was supposed to let Asar finish, then Woojah will jump in.
I want to jump in, Chef.
It's our show, bro. It's our show.
I got a right to jump in anytime I want to jump in, yo. Come on with that shit, dog. So my point I'm trying to make here is home court. All right, you made some claims. There's some literature that you obviously haven't read, although like you say, I know about that. He's talking about particular texts that might bring more credence to something. The rule is say, okay, you got the book. No, you don't got the book, man. Look at the sources, the citations, and get the books. That's what I do when the stars start talking that shit, or when Woojah start talking that shit, or Chef start talking that shit. Nigga, give me the book. And I start doing a literature review. That's how we do that. We don't run to Wikipedia and think that's the end all, be all. It start with Wiki and end in a journal. It's literature review. That's what we do around here. So my point is, I'm trying to figure out in 2021, how you gonna call Dr. Ben a cult leader, bro? That's a simple question, yo. Why is that man a cult leader, Chief?
Are you gonna be quiet? Let me talk.
Yep, I'm gonna let you rock out.
Okay. In the video where I called him a cult leader, do you know what the title of that video is?
Dr. Ben, a cult leader.
No. The title is is the conscious community a cult leader? Then I have and Dr. Ben. So you guys hear me clearly?
Yeah, read that again. Read that again. Let's see if it matches up what I said, Chief. Go ahead, y'all. Say it again.
I didn't listen to what I'm saying. The title of that video was "Is the Conscious Community a Cult?"
Okay.
Then I put and Dr. Ben. On part 2 of the video, I put / Dr. Ben. Meaning
So
we're
what does
talking
that
about
mean?
two. Hold on, I'm gonna break it down. Meaning I'm talking about is the conscious community. Can you guys hear me clear?
Yeah, we can go ahead. Go ahead, yo.
Okay. I was talking about is the conscious community a cult? It's a question to make people think. And then I went on a lecture to explain why the conscious community may be a cult and that we're cultish. And examples that I made was, I said there are many cult leaders in the conscious community. Dr. York was a cult leader in the conscious community. Dr. Sebi is a cult leader in the conscious community. I said Sebi also. Nobody mentioned Sebi. Everybody just focus on Dr. Ben.
Because he is a cult leader.
I mean,
yo.
hold on. I
I
mentioned about 5 different people.
Okay.
I mentioned Queen Afua. I mentioned everyone who had an influence, a heavy influence on the conscious community.
Okay.
This is not crazy talk. Dr.
All right,
Ben
Dr.
had
Ben, bro.
oh my goodness. Dr. Ben had a heavy influence on the conscious community.
Okay.
Dr. Ben told the conscious community, he told Black Americans that we are the ancient Egyptians and we descend from them. And I have him on video saying it, okay? Everyone believed that. That's why we took on Kemetic names. That's why I call myself the God Best reincarnated. That's why I got Egyptian tattoos. I believed Ashwar Kwesi, Dr. Ben, and all these so-called master teachers, and come to find out later, I was wrong about a lot of stuff. Come to find out from this discussion tonight, we are not descendants of the ancient Egyptians.
I'm American.
So he was a cult-like figure in a sense. Yes, I said that. I don't backpedal. And that was my context.
Okay, we heard you. Okay, we got you, buddy. Then we got you, buddy. So let's get your crazy ass up out of here with that statement. First of all, Dr. Ben named all people in Africa Negroes. So if you ever read his book, which you probably haven't, he's classifying everybody on the continent of Africa Negroes. So he didn't have access to DNA evidence, bro. He didn't have the skin color map. He didn't know that. So he simply classified everybody on the continent Negroes. He said the Egyptians were Negroids. The Somalians were Negroids. Let's put it all in context. Dr. Ben dealt with the available information he had. What's the context where Dr. Ben was talking about? Who was he going up against? He was going up against people that said the Egyptians were white.
No, see, this is a slant that you. This is your slant.
No, I didn't cut you off.
He let you talk, Chief.
I didn't
He
cut
let
you
you
off.
talk. He let you talk.
I'm trying to show you the difference between Dr. Ben, Queen Afua, and all the other quacks you just mentioned. Dr. Ben only knew what he knew. He was promoting things that were good for that time, bro. Dr. Ben talked about evolution. That means he had a scientific mind. He was practicing scientific literacy. So today, Dr. Ben, based off of all the available evidence, based off the genomes getting mapped out, there are things he just wouldn't say. Now, if Dr. Ben was living today and was still saying them things, then you could call him pseudo. But during the time that he had, things were not there yet, bro.
I never called Dr. Ben pseudo.
Making up, man, stop. I'm trying to show you, he at no point, Dr. Ben actually did Egyptian tours. He didn't have a building. He didn't have a place where people sent all the money to him. And he didn't have an organization. He simply was a tour leader that lectured and wrote books. He wasn't a cult leader. He didn't have a compound like Dr. Sebi and make up all kind of ridiculous claims coming out of nowhere. Like
I agree.
Dr. Ben sourced his work, bro. So we know where he got it from. So if he's just wrong, he's just wrong. He's not a cult leader. Listen.
Hold on.
He's not a cult leader.
Before you go on, let me just say this so you can be clear. I never did in that video talk about Dr. Ben's teachings. So you have to stop putting that on me. You're talking about no. Listen.
I'm not trying to listen to you. I want to finish what I'm saying, and then you can address it. I'm trying to tell you, I know what a cult leader is, bro. I spent 5 years. That's not Dr. Ben. He was simply a person that taught us scientific literacy and was wrong on points. That doesn't make you a cult leader. It's clear what a cult leader is. Louis Farrakhan is a cult leader. All monies go to him. The whole organization, everything. Nobody can say nothing about him. That's a cult leader. Now,
hey, I gotta run. I gotta run.
Following.
Hold on. I gotta run.
Following, bro.
Hold on. I gotta run.
Leader.
I gotta run. Let me just say this before I go.
No, again, getting in and I gotta run. You can just
no.
run.
I said I really gotta go. I'm just telling you I gotta go. I gotta go. You can continue on. I'm about to leave.
Then go. Then go ahead and leave.
So I didn't say code in the sense that you're trying to. In the sense you're trying to portray. You know what? So Dr. Ben lied about a lot of shit. I can't trust him or his teaching.
Hold on, check this out.
Okay, and I don't give a fuck what y'all think about it. Okay, to me, he was a cult leader in a sense,
like really,
and the people and his students are cultish. I wouldn't give a fuck. Really, get the fuck out of here. I'm out of here.
Your mother bitch. You got that right. You heard that right. Good. Your mother bitch. And I hope you. So when you see me, I already know what it is.
Yeah.
We good.
Yeah. No. And fuck them niggas in the chat too. Nigga, kiss my ass.
I know what it is. I thought you had to go.
You thought I'd give a fuck about being down with you or somebody? I don't give a fuck about none of you bitch ass niggas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there you have it. You ain't gonna hit that. You lucky I ain't got control. I'd have been had your punk ass out of here, nigga. Lucky. Thought you was gone. Now. So, hey, dog, as long as I'm living, yo, don't ever put that bitch ass nigga around me, yo. Because this shit ain't right. All right? That shit go way back when he stole them fucking shoes and sold them motherfuckers. You know what I'm saying? Stole some fucking shoes, wore them motherfuckers, and act like he didn't do it. You know what I'm saying? That's how far that shit go back with that nigga, yo. We had to chase this nigga around the board to get him to send a lady some shoes that he stole. You feel me? Come on, man. Come on, man. Nigga, I ain't calling him a call. These niggas in the title, nigga. Then he run when they get hot, when the seat gets super hot. Then he run. I gotta go. Now, I know you gotta go, nigga. Crazy ass nigga bring his crazy ass on here talking shit, then run. All right. That's where we go.
All right. So look. Now that was
I don't even try to put Wuja and Asanam do this type of situation, dog. That's some shit for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's different. They do shit a little different, yo. I don't like to put them in that situation, yo, and wear the card out, yo. With that backwards ass nigga how many niggas gonna really argue with you over something ain't red, dog? You don't do it, Chef. Chef, man, you fight like cats and dogs, dog. Do you not know that? Every morning, every day, it can just come out of nowhere. We fight like cats and dogs over the same conversation. And as soon as you bring up a book that I ain't read, I'm like, oh shit, I ain't read that. I don't say, well, I heard of it. We don't do that to each other, right? People don't know how serious you is with reading, yo. They don't know how much shit you read. But I've never heard you dismiss some work I put out there for a source. Like, I ain't read it, but yeah, you don't have opinions on shit. You're like, yo, I really don't have opinion on that.
Heard about it.
We move on.
When you ask him, what does he mean? Heard about it, watch the video. He didn't do any research on what Asar said. Then you take a step back. Okay, I'm going to check that out, see what it is. But you have an opinion. The opinion is like an asshole. Everybody got one. You should keep it private.
But it's confusing to people watching because they be thinking Chief really got something.
But see, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I'm gonna say this about opinions again, because this is something we can't control. People are gonna give it. It's just a value. Like if somebody hand you something on the street, you don't have to keep it. You don't have to pay attention to it. You can just drop it. Somebody try to hand you. I'm gonna tell you, how many of y'all been walking in the mall or walking, downtown somewhere, and people are handing out flyers and whatnot. They hand you the flyer in your hand, but soon as they keep walking away, you just drop that thing on the ground or whatever the case is. So people are gonna give their opinion, but the value of the opinion is what matters. If it's something that can't add value to the conversation, then you disregard it. And so you know, the famous saying, you can't judge a book by its cover. So if you talking about a book and you're talking to a person who's never read the book, then any opinion that they give you is worthless. And so it's just disregarded. So the conversation can move on. It's just,
I mean, Chief Factor understood that, man. Like everybody understood that. Chief Factor understood that. He just hate when I saw something like that. every time I saw something like that, he snapped. I knew he was going.
But here's the thing that I said when I first came on. I said this conversation, these topics right here, and this is something that everybody need to write down. Like certain
they need to be slowed down.
But listen, certain topics have to go. Like forget the school zone speed. You gotta have like 5 speed bumps in a row, like playground preschool speed. Like this is 2 mile an hour conversation right here. You really do, because it's multi-layered, and it's important to know where you are in the conversation. We have to have a compass to know where we are in this conversation. I'm telling you, because it really boils down to identity. It's an identity issue of trying to identify ourselves and identify other people, and then the connections or relationships between the two, if they exist. And that's a very slow conversation, because you have to pull from a lot of resources. It's multidisciplinary, and it's a lot of resources involved to really inform the conversation. Otherwise, we just getting on these shows and just entertaining each other, wasting time, really.
So listen, right here, my name right here. Everybody know my daggone name. All I'm saying is, God damn, man. Let me move up here.
Hold on, Asar had made a point, right?
Mm-hmm.
He had mentioned the people in the Senegambia region and said that it was only 1.8% of the people that was the 10 million people that was caught up in the transatlantic slave trade came from the Senegambia. 1.8, but we still call them, you know, say that we're a descendant from those people. So if I guess in saying that, he's saying don't matter how small a percentage of the people is that was from ancient Egypt, right? That later on got caught up in the transatlantic slave trade. The same way we call the people from the Senegambia, which was only less than 2% of the people that was taken, then why couldn't we call the Egyptians? So if on that minute point, if in any way he could prove that, and that's my Baltimore accent, to prove, if there's any way that he could substantiate that any percentage of the population of the people that was taken from West Africa had Egyptian descendancy, then he would be correct on that point. You know what I mean? If it's that minute, right? But I think.
So, Chef, look at the screen, Chef. Here's my predicted mitochondrial hollow group. L3, Robert West, L3. Okay, it says population studies to date have found that mitochondrial hollow group L3 is found in the highest concentration in Somali, East Africa. So I'm an African American, right? Am I not here in America? Is y'all looking at me? The distribution of mitochondrial hollow group L3 is as follows, right? Somali, 70.33%. So where we where is Somali located at? Like, how the fuck did my mitochondrial DNA get over? Like, how's that? Then you get, look, here comes the Ghana shit everybody want to make me do. Right here. What that say, yo? Is that Ghana?
Mm-hmm.
51%. Now, if I go to the
58%.
Okay, so if I go to the
But go back up. Right under Somali was what? Nigeria.
Yep. So all these areas with high concentration at. The highest concentration for me is right here. That's not my fault, dog. Like, that's not my fault. So how can we just say what's what? Like, you really can't. Now, when I go to my father's side, then it's all Ghana, bam, 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 bam. So now just deny my mother lineage, the mitochondrial DNA lineage, just deny that, just say, oh, you know, since Chief X said that, I'm supposed to just let that go. So I can't go to the Somali hangout and converse with them and talk about them and try to figure out like what customs they have. I can't do that because everybody got us locked over in West Side. That's not my shit right there, dog. On my father's side. So what I supposed to do? Like, it's a complicated picture, dog. And them blanket statements is crazy as fuck. So I'm sitting back saying, so what I supposed to do? Just the hell with the Somalis. I'm West African all day, every day. I supposed to do that? That's what I gotta do that, dog. Go ahead, Asar.
No, I was just saying that, you know, the point that I was trying to make is that if you have not read the literature, and so even just reading the literature is one thing, that's just the beginning. You still have to have the academic competency to understand and to be able to evaluate what you're reading. So you still have to come to the literature review with a background in the field in which you're studying. And so this is the point that I was getting at, is like he talked about like folk history and oral traditions as if this isn't a major and primary source for historical information. And I'm like, there's whole texts written on research methods in doing oral tradition. For example, the one that we all had to read was written by Vancina in college. And so this is why I was trying to tell him, like, you know, it's not even just a matter of just slowing down for the conversation on YouTube. You have to take some time off of YouTube and go through all the basics. And Chief X hasn't gone through the basics yet. So he trying to be a Navy SEAL and ain't even did the basics yet. You know, he ain't even enlisted in the Army yet. And he trying to do Navy SEAL type analysis. And this is the problem here. You know, and I know he gets frustrated, but I'm like, you know, what I mean by beta males is that beta males are always in their emotions and always trying to argue and fight and get in their feelings about stuff. This is what the conscious community is, a lot of them, you know, because they can't articulate their points. They can't be civil with each other. They always have to try to not let the other person speak and try to put words in people's mouth. And then when you challenge them, they want to cry all day and make videos back and forth against each other. Like that's what teenagers and children do. And we call them beta males in general because they all in their feelings. They act like girls. And so, you know, he can get mad all he wants, but it's just at some point you just gotta just let Chief X be. He's not on that level that he can understand the basic stuff of what is needed in terms of the discussion and argument. He doesn't even read the material. And we've had this conversation before. Every single time we ask, have you actually read what they said? No, but I heard. You heard him say it here. I heard. Who'd you hear it from? Did they read it? And this is what the point I'm trying to make. If you have not read the material yourself, and if you don't have the competency to be able to evaluate the literature, you don't have an opinion. The best that you can say is, well, I haven't read that work and I reserve judgment until I do. That's what intelligent people do and say. You don't argue points that you never come across. You saw him contradicting himself, and I'm glad the other brother asked him the question. Because, you know, if you read the literature already, you would know exactly what citations and stuff I was talking about. So he didn't know that at first. And then when he was pressed on it, he tried to make it seem like he did read it, but then go back and say he didn't, he heard. I'm like, come on, this is what I'm talking about. It's these games. And so, you know, I just don't have that time. Like I'm supposed to be studying right now. I got a test Wednesday and I got papers to grade, you know. And so, and to come back and have to deal with individuals, like I don't deal with that on my everyday basis. I deal with people who want to study and learn and who write and who engage in scholarship on a daily basis on a scientific level. And then you have individuals like this who just want to make YouTube videos about stuff that he don't know about. Dr. Ben, a cult leader. Dr. Ben ain't no, you know, he's a lot of things, but he ain't a cult leader.
Right. Like,
yeah, they kind of contradicted himself because he's talking about all these people that are cult leaders. And then he went to Dr. Benny, but he said, I wasn't saying Dr. Benny a cult leader.
it's on the title.
What are you talking about? It's crazy.
I think it was some good points made in this before Saul got on the panel. I don't know if he was watching. It was some good points and clarity being made about the different phenotypes in Africa and how we get a lot of that confused with the general African. Just saying, you know, we have a perception of what an African is from being in America. And we don't look at, you know, Africa as a continent and its different phenotypes. I think that was a good point. You know what I mean? That we need to do more studying because I actually watched your interview with the geneticist Kiara.
Kiara, yeah.
Shortcut, Shomaka Keita.
Yeah, Shomaka, yeah. And then I went to previous videos of his. And when he was talking about the you know, how race is a, you know, social construct and there's no definitive African type and all of that. Like how he was saying that the Berbers, if you look at it genetically, they are African. Like all of that just sums up, you know, that, you know, we look at things in a black and white. Like either you look like us, that makes you African. And if the Egyptian don't fit that, then they not African. Shomaka Keita got a whole different perspective on that. You know what I mean? So I think his take on it fits more in line with academia, right? And he makes his point more clear. And if we could listen to him, we'll understand Africa, you know, better than what we do right now. I think his work is that.
Listen. We did a show it is on the old Amara Squad, so the show is somewhere in the ether somewhere. But we did a show. And the title of the show was "There's No Such Thing as an African," and on that show we outlined all the points that support that statement that there's no such thing as an African, really.
Oh, that's on Amara Squad Media. It's still there.
Oh, it's still there. Okay, well, that's great. Yeah. So go look that up. You know, people go look that up. But there's multi-layers because all this falls under identity. And there's layers of identity. And you have the social constructs, which include the social construct of race, which is very, very influential to our conversations.
Right.
But there's no genetic basis for race. Like when you get to the level of genetics, race doesn't have a basis there. The genetic meaning of race is pretty much equivalent to species. So that's why people say there's only one race, the human race. That's a genetic statement because you know, genetically there is only one species, i.e. one race. But socially, it doesn't do anything but serve at best as a proxy for self-identification that people do. And so we got to be careful about all that stuff. So Africa is a place. Africa is a continent. Like I am not African, like present tense. I'm not African. I'm not West Africa. I've never been to Africa. West Africa. I'm not influenced by the physical environment of any African place. I'm not influenced by any government that's controlling any African location. I'm not influenced by anything in Africa. So so when we make the statement that we are African or narrow it to we are West African, what do we really mean? We can only mean that we have a recent ancestry shared with the people on the west and central coast of Africa. That's the only thing we could possibly mean and be true. That's it. And if you think about it, that doesn't really do anything for us for any conversation other than to make that statement.
Let me see this right here. So right here, make sure I ain't just tripping. No, I know I ain't tripping. That's on his videos right there, okay? Is the conscious community a cult? How the hell can a conscious community be a cult? It ain't, first of all, it's not a place. Ain't got no buildings. It's just the damn internet. That's first of all. And it's diverse as hell. All right? Dr. Ben, yep. So he said, is Dr. Ben community and is Dr. Ben a cult? How can he be a cult? Conscious community a cult? Dr. Ben. Knowing him, he didn't went back and switched. Anyway, but watch this. This is the part that got me hot. Right here. Is Dr. Ben brainwashing people? Like, I'm just trying to figure out, like, hold on, what does that? Here you go, right here. Right here. It says Dr. Ben brainwashed the Black Americans. Like, what do you mean? Upper left-hand corner, right here.
Yeah.
I'm saying, like, let me say this, man. Listen, man. So, I'm sorry y'all even had to go through this tonight, man. On some real shit, because at the end of the day, man, like, brainwashing, like, I'm just trying to figure out, like, why pick him? If you just feel like being a little sucker, just go ahead and say Dr. Ben said he was a doctor and he wasn't. And then I'm questioning Chief X. I'm saying, so now you worried about what he put on his resume? Like, so now you can't lie on your resume. How many people lie on their resume though to get a job and work? Like, do I really care about him lying on the resume, working a job, teaching in a goddamn African studies program? He actually did that. Like, we all know he did that. Professor James Smalls too. And, you know, am I mad? Like, why would I care about what a man put on this thing? Like we ain't all lying on our resume, add 2-3 extra jobs. Don't get mad because he did it big.
But the question
he told you why he was mad though, huh? He said, man, like that man where he got tattoos of Kevin on his arm and stuff, man. That man tattooed his body. He became best.
Oh, found out he wasn't Egyptian.
But he hurt by that, bro. Best may not even be in native Egyptian god. That may come out of Central Africa.
That's what I'm saying?
No, but best is just a name for God itself in like Cameroon, in places like southern Nigeria and stuff to this nature. Like the same deity, all of that is worship there. That's the central place from where the god best comes from. See, people don't talk about migrations of central and you know, Central West Africans into Egypt. And it's not that, see, people talk about like the Egyptians adopting certain things. No, they inherited it. Because when people settle in a community and they teach their children who they possibly intermingle with the natives there, it becomes part of their inheritance. Like, people don't know that Sekhmet of ancient Egypt is worshipped in Nigeria. The name is changed a little bit in terms of pronunciation. Well, we don't really know what it was pronounced, how it was pronounced in ancient Egypt. But whatever group came out of Egypt and Sudan brought with them Sekhmet. And you know, now she is the, you know, principal deity of smallpox, you know, in the area. They repurposed her, even though it's not even really a repurpose, because she was also the, you know, the deity of you know, certain diseases and things of that nature.
Medical
even in Kemet. I'm
all
sorry?
the medical physicians.
Yeah. So it's like it's a lot of things that you would have to know, but again, you have to expand. There's a reason why, even if you're an American and you're looking to get a degree in Egyptology, you have to learn French and you have to learn German. It's a requirement. Why? Because so much literature is written in those two languages. Not only by European scholars, but African scholars. You know, and if you don't read that stuff, you know, you only know so much over here being in the States. But, you know, like those other schools, those other Egyptology schools and things of that nature, they're doing some big things. Go ahead.
You made a point. Different schools of thought in Egyptology look at Egypt from different ways. I mean, I know you're familiar with that. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Heard you say it before. So why is it that we crucify, right, Black people for doing the same thing? Like, and I'm talking about our scholars like John Henry Clark and them. Like, why? How could they be why is that crucified 30 years later? Like, that's the most craziest thing. Like, I don't understand that, yo. So now you brainwash, man. He used a lot. He used sources. He used Darwin's work. He used other something, like he was using the shit of the day. Matter of fact, when you look at UNESCO, I say it again, that the body of scientists said it was a homegrown indigenous culture with all different types of complexions. How's he brainwashing though? So the whole scientific body that time at the Cairo Symposium was brainwashing people, yo? Like, so you mean to tell me, I remember we was going through this conversation and we was reading that, remember me, you was reading that document, UNESCO?
Mm-hmm.
I say, damn, Asal, most people in the conscious community ain't never read that, yo. Remember that? Because you was showing me something where a guy was challenging Diops on what Egypt was. You know what I'm talking about, right? The place name, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we were saying, damn, people ain't never even read this. They ain't read Diop's talking about, yo, the initial migration on the Nile was these Black people, and they was arguing him down to the ground. Nah. He was like, yo, Homo sapiens starts in Ethiopia, yo, Rift Valley, Homo Valley. They was literally arguing that shit. People don't read the document, dog.
This is you know, you have to understand this on multiple levels. First of all is that people don't read, you know, and second of all, and this should be really first of all, we got to understand the nature of European, you know, white supremacy mythology and its effect on African American people. And, you know, you grow up in a society that says that everything that Europeans do is right and exact, and you shouldn't question what they do. And so you get these Negroes who, when an African says something, it is extra scrutinized. But when a European says something, they just believe it without any re-examination whatsoever. And then if they end up agreeing with something that an African scholar says, they only agree with it once a European backs it up and says that, yeah, they agree with the African on this. And that's problematic because these individuals don't see Africans as intelligent, as capable, as being capable of developing their own, developing higher standards of scholarship, et cetera, et cetera. And so, you know, the problem is that, you know, they're just scared of white folks, and they don't know how to challenge white people and to make them, you know, fold under the weight of their own mislogic, because they don't engage those conversations with European folks. They only deal with so-called folks folks in the so-called conscious community, internet folks, and say they don't know nothing about research standards and stuff of this nature. What's interesting is, like, people don't give credit to Sheikh Anta Diop, for example, for being really the first multidisciplinary in this field. And him and Obenga, you know, using multidisciplinary tactics to make the argument and shutting them down in many areas. And now, if you go to any academic setting, multidisciplinarians is the, you know, the buzzword of the day. And what's also interesting is that when I'm reading the literature now, matter of fact, I was just listening to a conference. There's a it should be wrapping up now. There's a major conference that is happening in Egypt right now, and they of course was live streaming it for folks who couldn't make it to Egypt to view the conference. And that is they're using language now like Eurocentric when trying to analyze Egyptian text. And these are Europeans. And I'm sitting there watching the video, and they're saying that, well, you know, we got to be careful of our Eurocentric lens when we're reading Egyptian text.
That's honest, ain't it?
You know,
And
African.
we should have shared that so we could have watched that, bro. We should have shared that so we could look at that, bro. I would like to see that.
I mean, I could still, it's still up. It's a whole channel. Most of the stuff is in French that on that channel, but this particular conference was in English. And so there's a number of videos.
Wouldn't that be the European attempting to be honest?
I'm sorry? I'm hearing everybody talk at once. I'm sorry.
Wouldn't that be an attempt of the European trying to be honest at this point? If they saying that, you know, we gotta, you know, stop trying to, you know, look at Egypt or Egyptian documents through a European lens.
Yes, but my point is
they're being honest.
Yeah, I mean, but when we were doing it, we were being honest too. And we're saying that, see, this is what people don't get. It's harder for us as African Americans to really kind of understand because we grew up divorced from our culture and our language. Or I should say our cultures and our languages.
How from Africa just said that we wasn't African, we American. So we
but listen to what I'm saying. I'm not saying anything that you said. I'm not addressing anything you said specific. What I'm saying is in regards to the Eurocentric thing. It's kind of hard for a lot of us to understand because we grew up here in the United States under, you know, so-called European, you know, white supremacy, and, you know, this whole racialized, you know, construct that we have here, you know, divorced from our cultures and our languages of Africa. But there are people on the continent who have, even though they may have been victims of colonialism to some degree, they still have their cultures and languages. So when they started learning Meta Nature and looking at the primary source material, they are looking at stuff that still goes on in their culture. And what a lot of people don't understand is that in the African school, everybody studies formally linguistics. Because in Africa, the funding isn't there necessarily for a lot of archaeological digs. So the next best thing for a lot of Africans to do is to study linguistics. And so they're able to not only, you know, bring the cultural competency to it, they're able to bring the linguistic competency to the conversation. And when they're examining the text, they're saying that, look, most of what y'all say regarding ancient Egypt is not right and exact. We can demonstrate this because there's a commonality between what we see in ancient Kemet and what we see in what, you know, they still use the language Black Africa. And we're worshiping the same deities. We're doing the same rituals. We have the same priesthoods. They're called the same things. And so we're trying to tell you that in order for you to really kind of understand what is going on in ancient Kemet, you're going to have to understand this from an African lens. And that your Eurocentric lens prevents you from seeing what is actually going on here in these particular texts. And
let me dive in real quick. Let me dive in real quick.
Go ahead.
So when I was learning how the meta-nature was deciphered, right? And I remember all the conversations we had, you, Wuja, and I was like, yeah. And I tried to use Dr. Ben against you. I remember that show, still on Blog Talk. He was like, nope, did you read this? Nope, nope, nope. So I got beat down and I went back and I started reading and studying. I started asking questions. The thing that stuck out the most to me was a simple phrase. Once you decipher something, that's it was hard, but they got it. But the hard part is actually putting it in its cultural context. So if you try to look at the meta-nature from an Asian, European context, you're gonna mess it up. You have to put it in any language that's deciphered. You have to get it in its cultural context. It has to be that. So if I'm saying, yo, shorty right there, watch this, shorty right there, man, she fat to death, yo. What, man, what she had on was fly, yo. So if you don't understand the culture or the time period that these statements are made, you know what I'm saying? Shorty, you're gonna think she's small, short, right? She could be 6 foot, she could be a model, but shorty fly. Then you be thinking, well, she's flying. She actually fly. So it's a short lady that's flying. You know what I'm saying? And she was fat to death. You're going to think it was a short lady that was flying and overweight. If you do not understand the cultural context and if you do not understand the time period. So when I use the word yo, that's a term that popped up in the 80s. So if I say, yo, shorty fat to death, she flies a motherfucker. You got to get the proper cultural context. That's the hardest thing to do. So the Europeans was putting their own cultural context on stuff. Now they realize that, man, you will never get it. And so that's for me. I've been trying to tell you. I say, man, when you looking at brothers that read the meta-nature, man, they putting it in this. First of all, you got to know it's African. So if you don't even realize it's African, then how you gonna put in this proper African context? You won't be able to do it. You just won't. So I just wanted to put that out there. That is well documented, that putting things in its proper context is the hardest thing to get right.
Yeah, and there's different layers even to that, because of course,
let me say this, Sar. I think and I'm gonna give you credit that I feel your point on that one and make a lot of sense. Because you're in a sense what you're saying is that because of all the languages and the cultures and all the traditions in that area, when all these different groups of Africans from all these different regions gather around and read the meta-nature, they have a better lens at seeing different things that goes on in their culture versus a European who may only know about this culture and that culture, where you got a whole multitude of Africans looking at it with a whole multitude of traditions, right? And that's what you're saying, right?
In a nutshell, yes.
Hey, let me say this.
Yeah, I get that. I
ain't feeling none of that. But go ahead.
So let me just quick. So the main issue that we have a problem with is in scholarship is the European people who deal with the European lens inability to be empathetic. And so it's an issue of empathy, because the people that are able to be empathetic to the African experience, the cultural experience, depending on which culture they're examining, they're going to be handicapped in their understanding, because they're going to look at something. Two people can look at the exact same thing, and based on what they bring to the table when they start to look at it will determine what they're actually seeing. And so the battle cry is for people to be more empathetic, or what we're saying is through an African lens or an African context, because you have to actually position yourself there. And that's when you get into the methodology of Afrocentricity and so on and so forth, giving agency to those that are directly connected to the phenomenon that you're examining, analyzing, or studying. And so that's missing in a lot of places in academia, coming from a European perspective or through a European lens. And so these guys, they're saying we got to be careful of that, because they realize that, okay, wait a minute, we're missing the mark. And see, some of these scholars are honest in their analysis. Like, for example, I forget which one, but it's either Budge or Gardner or somebody like that. In as far as the language goes, they admit that when they talk about the affinities that the ancient Egyptian language has with language phyla that they have, they will at least admit that they lack the information when it comes to African languages. And so they, so it's almost like they're forced to be a little honest in that area, but then they run, that's just a little excerpt, and then they run with the whole Afro-Asiatic piece and stuff like that. But so it creeps up every now and then. And just now, the works of African scholars now is really forcing it to the forefront now, to where it's getting a little more common for them to make statements like that, being more careful.
Go ahead, Sark.
What time is it?
I'm putting in the chat room the link to the channel, the YouTube channel, for which the conference.
You have to put it in the back chat. I don't think you can put. I don't think you can drop the link.
Put it in the back chat.
Unless you got a wrench.
Yeah, put it in the back chat.
I just put it there I put it for the audience in the public chat, and then I just put it in the back chat for y'all. And so that's just the channel. So it's the Egyptology. It's the French Institute of Egyptology and Archaeology. And so they just finished having a conference, and you'll be able to see some of the videos from the recent conference. And I will have to go back specifically to certain ones that I reviewed to get the actual timestamps where you can see them using the word Eurocentric and stuff to this nature in their analysis. But it's, again, my whole point is that language and perspectives that African-centered scholars were using back in the day is now, becoming part of the mainstream without, credit being given to these African scholars for pushing that perspective and showing the weaknesses of the Europeans on certain points when it came to an analysis of history and stuff to this nature. So what the point that I'm getting at is that African people set standards also. And a lot of us don't see ourselves as being standard bearers, being able to set the standard, being able to set the level. And because we're able to see the flaws in the logic and the methodology that certain Europeans utilize and try to make arguments with. And so you can tell the difference between, an enthusiast, like Chief X at best is an enthusiast.
No. Enthusiast really digs in, yo. It's like an amateur, yo. Like an amateur.
But I said at best. Oh, I didn't say. I didn't say he was, fully in the sense. I'm saying at best. And what I mean by this is that, an enthusiast doesn't care about methodology. They just read. And some of them just accept what they read without having the skill set to be able to do a proper literature review. See, literature review isn't simply you read the text and then you turn on your camera and then get on YouTube and start a video. That's not how literature review is done. Literature review is an analysis of the text, and you're criticizing. You're discovering the points that you do agree with, and you're discovering the points that you don't disagree with, and then you articulate why you agree and or disagree with the argumentation of the author. Like it's a whole process involved.
So let's just go back. Let's rewind just a slight bit. this is why we when you talk about Egypt and putting it in this African context, and then you got to put the language in this African context. Is this not the crust of the whole argument? That you try to go to Wikipedia and look some shit up, you know what I'm saying? And you ain't there, that's it, that's not it. That's the whole crux of it, is like, you gotta give Africa a chance to explain the language. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't do that, if you don't look at the tribes around there, if you don't do that, then the whole thing becomes lost. So it's just that Theophile banging them, Jean-Claude and bullying them yourself, they just ahead of schedule. And it should take long. I'm trying to tell people, it take long for things to come through, especially when you're on the cutting edge of figuring out shit that they wasn't even thinking about doing. So I mean,
I have those discussions with Dr. Keita all the time. Me and him, like, you know, even though he comes off to the public as, I mean, and he's generally this way anyway. You know, I'm just saying, like, he's very argumentative, you know, in private and stuff like this. So me and him go at it like some of us go at it on certain parts, like with Greensburg and stuff like this. And then I'll get him to a point where he's forced to recognize and accept my argument. And what he'll always tell me is that, you know, in science, it takes a while for people to accept certain arguments. So just be prepared that you're going to be arguing this stuff for, you know, maybe even a couple of decades.
Yeah,
because
20, 30,
you know,
yeah.
because you know, you're on the cutting edge. You're on the what's the phrase that Dr. Tyson always uses? You're on the
fringe.
It's a specific phrase that he uses. You know. Anyway, you know.
Cusp.
I'm sorry.
The cusp.
It's almost like on the horizon of new knowledge. It's like it's something along those lines. It's a specific phrase that he uses. It just I can't remember it right now. But you know, that's the kind of work that I do. So, you know, because that's what a true researcher is, and that's why I always make a distinction. Like, you got to understand the difference between a scholar and researcher versus a teacher versus an enthusiast. Because a researcher, a scholar, is always trying to push the boundaries of scholarship. They're more concerned, you know, with issues of method and challenging orthodoxy and stuff to this nature. A teacher isn't necessarily someone who does that. They may have the capability, but for them, it's just summing up the best of the knowledge to their understanding and teaching it to others. You know, they're not about necessarily, like, when you think about your high school teachers and your middle school teachers, they're not on the cutting edge of information and trying to challenge orthodoxy in that way. They're just there to teach you what is the status quo at the moment. And then you have an enthusiast who's just, you know, and all of us come into this usually as an enthusiast, because we start picking up information from anywhere. We read Dr. Ben, and then we'll read some Dr. York, and then listen to Ashford Kwesi, and then, you know, maybe some Amos Wilson. Is all good information for us, you know. But the more time passes, and hopefully, you know, when you start learning about scholarship, the more you realize how you have to discern and separate that information. Like, it all doesn't fit together neatly.
Yeah, look, with that, look, I'm gonna close out that statement right there, man. It's 2:00 in the damn morning, man. Sorry, we had to take you away from your studies.
143,000 watching. That's
yeah, that's a nice number. I don't know how the hell y'all ain't sleep. God damn, a whole chat full of people, man.
I know.
Yeah, they like when the bros get together, man. Yeah, appreciate you coming to Wu Jai, Cedric, Asar, Social Man. Appreciate everybody in the chat, man. I'm gonna work on, you know, that's why I ain't even want to have it for, right, yo, because I know I couldn't handle that situation because it's just stupid. Like, it's hard being around dumb people. It's just hard.
So you
man.
gotta you gotta trademark and things of that nature. That's his favorite line right there. Things of that nature.
What we're gonna do is we're gonna end it. How they say we're gonna end that. We're gonna end that with things of that nature. Look, y'all.